right, Everett. It is 3 hours till Kaiju Festival is open.
Yes.
How are you feeling?
I did not sleep. I rested, which means I laid down and I closed my eyes, and I woke up, and then it was like almost 5, so I was like, I'm just gonna get up, and then here we are. So it's okay. I can run on adrenaline today. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. We got lots of free giveaways, prizes, stuff for sale, video game contests, raffles, too much stuff. It's gonna be a blast. I'm really happy to bring it back, finally.
Yes, it is amazing. It is amazing. And then we have a few guests here. We have Nick Adam Poling from the Monster Report.
Good to be here.
So that's awesome.
Tucson Kaiju Festival.
Yes.
Early on. We're getting set up.
Yeah, 3 hours before opening.
Yes.
All right.
We're excited.
Cool.
I'm Yosh Reyes. I'm with Quest Studios. This is my partner, Catherine Owen.
I'm with Demi-Urgent Creative, and I'm going to be Mothra today.
Awesome.
I'll come back later.
Awesome.
Try not to leave all that dust everywhere. I was scooping for hours last time. I have prints, I have paintings, I have art, and I'm happy to be here.
How excited are you guys for this day?
Extremely excited.
Even more excited than I am to get my first cup of coffee. That's pretty exciting.
That is yours. My wife is making me thin out my shirts, and I'm like, instead of selling them or giving them away just because they're used, I'm like, I'll give them to people. Chris,
Oh,
Biolante, King Caesar, or Gamera.
oh, geez. What do the designs look like?
They're all awesome, dude.
That's like a comic strip. No, these are actually, these are Holy Mountain Printing. So these are not around anymore because they're the ones that got in trouble by Toho.
Yeah.
Because they were unlicensed, so all
Yeah.
this stuff is special. And then the Gamera one, though, is actually, I did this one myself. I went to a t-shirt company and I got that.
Biolante one looks pretty cool.
That's yours.
Sweet.
I'm Chris Clavero. I
Ooh.
run a couple groups on Facebook. AZG Force, Spiral Studio Collectors Club, Kaiju Waffles.
Yeah, because behind you got a bunch of Spiral.
Yeah, Spiral
Godzilla
Prime
stuff.
1. I have one of them set up here right now.
Yep.
This is the Prime 1 Eva Unit 1.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Very nice.
And yeah, be setting up the Spiral Studio 2019 Burning Godzilla and the Prime 1 Godzilla bust. And just have lots of Safubi and things like that for everyone to enjoy, some things to buy. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that guy I can't wait to see. This big burning Godzilla. That's going to be cool. And how excited are you for this festival today?
I'm really excited. I really hope the turnout's awesome and that just everyone just gets to see a little bit of what we all love here. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Hi everybody, I'm James from Bookman's. I'm so excited about Kaiju Festival!
All right, looks like you're setting up the burning Godzilla one.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I will have more chairs.
Box is really tight, so I have to split it, but
Oh no. Do you have to cut that every time?
yeah, hopefully I don't have to eat this a lot though.
Oh my god. So this is the box that's just the tail, right?
This is like the tails and the base.
And then this is this guy right here. That's like the main body.
Display with or without wings.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy.
In the bags, yeah.
So Nick, what do you think about this spiral burning Godzilla?
This guy is incredible. Now, the funny thing about the wings is, like, I don't remember that from the movie, but it really works. And
So when he pulses, you can actually hear Mothra's screech.
Really?
And you can see the pattern in the sphere that comes out emits from him. So Matt Frank kind of took inspiration from that and did some artwork. And then Spiral took some
inspiration from that and did this.
I see. Well, and what's so cool about this guy is when you do get the lights dimmed. And I have seen video of what it looks like when the lights are all dimmed and you got him, set up that way. He just pops incredibly. So, yeah. And this is not for the average collector. That's why Christopher here is not the average collector. He is one who's like, shut up and take my money. He lives the meme, shut up and take my money. Spiral Studios.
Just seeing what you got set up here.
She has a Godzilla themed chessboard, Jet Jaguar themed chessboard, and a Mothra themed chessboard
Fabulous.
with color matching pieces.
Nice. It's fantastic. How excited are you for the Tucson Kaiju Festival?
Pretty excited. I get to make mine today.
That's always good. Nice.
I don't know what to say.
I can wherever you hold him up so you can do the wiring. Just hold him like that.
Like that.
Nick Adam Pauling holding Godzilla. Take care of him. Take good care of him. He takes care of us.
My boy. Happy birthday. It's been a rough day, hasn't it? Kind of
Well,
rough.
it does look like a rough day because he's kind of he doesn't really have his body.
This kaiju's
so.
wearing a wire.
Oh, he's
I
wearing
just know he's wired.
He's wired.
Yes.
Yeah, he's wired. Yeah.
And even better, he's 70 years old, -1.
All right, question number 2. In Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 1974, what were the suit modifications for Anguirus? I don't know. Yes.
I'm pretty sure
No, not good. It's a suit modification. So what are the differences?
Jaw?
Yes.
The broken jaw, yeah.
No. A suit modification, not what happened to him. No. It is a tough one. What were the suit modifications to the Anguirus suit in the 1974 film Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla? I'll give you guys a hint. It has to do with his horns.
Bigger horns.
No. 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 It's a suit modification. No. This is a tough one. Started off easy and now it got hard. Okay, another hint. Well, I really can't give a hint. Because it's harder here, unless you can think of a hint. Can you think of a hint?
Is there a scene on it happening? Yeah, right.
Well, when he showed up to fight Mechagodzilla, but what was different about the Anguirus suit? It's in his face. Has to do with his horns. Nope. It is a hard one. Nope. All right. Nope. All right. So I'm going to give you guys the answer, and then I'm just going to pick somebody. Okay? So the answer is shorter and rounder horns.
Ooh, that's tough. That's tough. That was a tough one.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Question number 3. What year did Rodan release? In the back.
56?
Yes, sir.
Sweet. Oh, nice. Oh, damn, I don't have. Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
All right. Question number 4. Who were the aliens that controlled Mechagodzilla in 1974? Nope. Nope. Who were the aliens that controlled the Showa Mechagodzilla? No, that's a little earlier. Okay, hint. It starts with black. Nope. Close enough. Black hole planet aliens.
I know what they are.
Because of course. Wait a second.
So what I like about this
if we can, try to refrain from using your phones. Okay, question number 5. How many I'm not going to say that because it's the wrong pronunciation, but how many octopi were used in King Kong versus Godzilla 1962?
8.
No. No.
I didn't watch that movie enough.
3.
No. Close. 4. Who said 4?
My dad.
Okay. Question number 6. What part of the Godzilla suit broke in Mothra vs. Godzilla 1964? In the back.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it was the tail.
No.
No?
Eli? No. No, not chest.
His face.
Face is close. What part of the face? I'll give it to you. It was his top lip. Okay. We'll wait for their announcements to be done before we continue. There we go. Okay. Question number 7. What was the actual name of the Godzilla dance?
I don't know.
From
Yeah, it's from Invasion of Astro Monster, also known as Godzilla vs. Monster Zero. No, because it was an actual pop culture reference at the time. No. What was the name of the Godzilla dance in Godzilla vs. Monster Zero? It has a name because it was an actual pop culture reference. Yes. No.
Good question.
What do you think would be a good hint?
That shipped out.
Does anybody want to demonstrate? Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
There we go.
There we go. There we go.
Here we go.
No. No. Yes. Yes. What was it called? What was it called? You don't know? Okay. Well, you got closest. So it's called The Shine. Okay. Question number 8. Who did Godzilla replace in the 1966 film with Ebra? In the back?
King Kong.
King Kong, all right. Okay. Question number 9. What can be seen? Okay, this is kind of a tough one. What can be seen in Mothra's fur on her head in Godzilla versus the Sea Monster? Yes. No. 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 These are tough questions.
That's one of the few movies.
Yep, what? No. It's something that was accidentally not, it was misplaced, but it was left in there. No.
Wires?
No. Okay. Here's a hint. It's a very bad habit.
Oh, cigarettes. I won. Better have
Okay. It was a cigarette. If you rewatch Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster and try to pause it when Mothra's fighting Godzilla, you can see a cigarette that was left on her head.
It was like, okay guys, I'm about to go back. Long day for Mom.
Yes, it was E.G. Tsuburaya's cigarette. Okay, question number 10. What is the last Showa film in the Showa timeline? This is a trick question. Pat. No. Think about the question. Blue Hat? Not the last movie in the series. The last movie in the timeline, technically. Up front? Yes.
Yeah, he's right.
I was gonna say that. I was trying to say that, but I didn't say it.
Okay. Question number 11. Which Showa movie has no original soundtrack? All stock music. He's unsure in the back. Yes? No.
I was gonna say just King of Monsters count?
No.
Okay. Gojira.
Green shirt? Yes. Yes, that is correct. Okay. Question number 12. All right. Now this robot has his 50th birthday this year, but the answer is not Jet Jaguar. What was the original name for Jet Jaguar? Yes.
Red Alone.
Yes.
I mean,
All right, okay. Now if you've won some prizes, let's try to refrain from answering so we give everybody a chance. Question number 13. What is the worst performing Godzilla movie at the box office? Yes.
want to say Shin Godzilla.
Nope. Nope. Hint, only hint. It is from the Showa era.
Godzilla Race Again.
Nope.
Godzilla 2000.
Showa era. Showa era, Raj. Yes. Nope.
Godzilla Revenge?
Huh?
Godzilla Revenge?
Nope.
I heard Terror Mecha.
Nope, not Godzilla versus Hedorah. Nope. Worst performing movie at the box office in the show. Yes. No. Okay, only next hint. It is from the 70s. It's in the yes.
Is it Terror Mechagodzilla?
Yes.
I knew it.
I keep forgetting. Okay, we only have 3 more questions. Question 14. Which film is considered the best according to Japanese fans? Nope.
Godzilla 2000?
Nope. Okay, only hint. It's from the Heisei era. Yes. Nope. It's not Destroyer. This is according to Japanese fans. What was it? Violante? Yes. Okay. 2 more questions. Question 15. Which film does Godzilla have the most screen time? Yeah? No. It's from the Heisei era.
I'm right. I'm not gonna put my hand.
Ultraman? Yes. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 93 was his most screen time. Okay. Last question for the Godzilla and Kaiju trivia. And if we have some time, which I believe we do, I'll try to think of some bonus questions if you guys have some. Okay, because we got a whole bin of stuff, but we do have another trivia later on today, okay? Make sure you guys have a pamphlet so you know what's going on. Huh?
What time is it?
What's okay. It's the Kaiju Island quiz is the next one. I think it's at 5. I think it's at 5 p.m. Okay, question number 16. What was the original monster cast for GMK, Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack? Who had it?
It was Anguirus, Baragon, and then I forgot the last one.
Eli? What's your dad's favorite?
Daddy's favorite is Godzilla.
No, what's your dad's favorite? Not Godzilla. Come on, Eli. Starts with a V. Hang on, we want to give Eli here a chance. He's really trying. He's really trying. He's only had his own movie. We're giving Eli a chance. Let's give him a chance. Starts with a V, and it's your dad's favorite monster. Who does he like the most? He's unbelievable. Come on, Eli. We believe in you.
It's purple in the name.
Got it right so far. You got Anguirus. There you go. Good job, Eli. It was Varan. So the original cast to GMK was originally Anguirus, Baragon, and Varan, which in my opinion they should have kept.
Yes. Yeah. Really?
ABV?
Okay, bonus question. Which Godzilla film took the shortest to film? Curly hair, glasses?
We want to see it on the big screen, and we want to know, we want to be surprised by it, we want to enjoy it. So don't spoil it, and tell us that...
I hear Godzilla fights Ronald McDonald.
Wait, exactly.
You see the new villain?
Exactly what I was trying to avoid. So, anyways, your kaiju starting point. Also, you know, this being Godzilla's birthday. 70 years? No. But they did come out with a 70-year logo recently, like yesterday. I think it was like they came out with a 70-year logo, but today's not the 70s, 60, 90s. Oh, it is Godzilla -1, so 70 minus 1, that's this year. We'll just know as this year was the -1 year. Because we get the Monarch TV series. We've got Godzilla X Kong The New Empire coming out. What else do we've got coming out this year? I mean, it's an incredible time.
Well, we have that new animated short,
The animated
Godzilla
short.
and Megalon.
I saw that.
The practical short of Godzilla and Jaguar, too.
Yep. And this year was also Godzilla vs. Gigan Rex, the short. That was this year, wasn't it? That was last year?
That was last
year. Been a year?
Yeah, last year was
My
Gigan's birthday.
goodness.
This year's Megalon and Jet Jaguar.
So, yeah.
And the CGI?
Sweet CGI. So lots of goodness coming out of Japan, and of course, you know, we've got a lot of people doing a lot of variants that are the collectible items, and it's such a great time to be a Godzilla fan and go back to the classic stuff, more modern stuff, the legendary stuff, all of this marrying together. We've even got comic book series coming out. We've got, you know, we had the anime trilogy. We've got Gamera on Netflix now. You know, we've got all kinds of cool kaiju stuff. So back to my kaiju story, if we are, rock and rolling, So 1985 was my starting point. So, in my opinion, at that point, Godzilla, in my mind, was always the solo monster against humanity. He was always the unstoppable force. He was the natural disaster that's going to hit the city, and you can't do anything about him except for get out of his way. He's like a tornado or a hurricane, things like that. So, in my mind, that was how Godzilla should always be. And then my second Godzilla was Godzilla vs. Gigan. Well, this is cool. We've got other monsters involved that he gets to fight with. And then, interestingly, that I was surprised that he was sort of the hero to the humanity. And not specifically, but he was the hero of the story. And then I learned more that he could be the hero, he could be the villain, he could be somewhat just, ambiguous with that. But for the most part, I was surprised by how he had such flexibility in what the character could be, because that is the character you're concerned about. I mean, with the human stories, okay, but we want to see the giant monsters, don't we? Beautiful.
When Japanese Godzilla, American Godzilla, flawless. In Final Wars, I think.
Final Wars, yep. So there's so much that is going on with your starting point of what it was with Godzilla and how that kind of develops in you. And so, would anyone here say they're more of a new Godzilla fan? You know, it's more later in life that it's happened, right? Yeah, it's more recent. Didn't start in childhood, but who's the childhood? You know, it was when you were little. Yeah, it started when you were little.
Day one.
Yeah. And in case of my son, he still is little, so so his starting point, we're starting him right. Yeah. He's indoctrinated into the Church of Godzilla, right? So enjoy it. He's got his own YouTube channel, Mini Monster Report. I just want to point out the other content creators that are here, and we'll get your kaiju stories going. So joining me, Michael Young, ZillaFan85. So subscribe to ZillaFan85. Of course, you know the man, the myth, the legend, Godzilla Fan Freaks, Everett, show on YouTube. So he's on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Did I miss anything?
Nope, that's it.
Yep. Filming it for us, Chris Cupers, Goji Fan 93. Both he and Everett have been actually on YouTube longer than I have, actually. So they're doing some awesome stuff. So Goji Fan 93, follow him. Instagram, Facebook.
Pretty much just YouTube.
Just YouTube, just vote. Yeah,
very simple.
Goji Fan 93 on YouTube. So, Michael's going to start with his kaiju story and go from there. And what kind of, your not just your favorite, but how did it start? And then what is the ones that you kind of find yourself rewatching? Because sometimes the one that's your favorite isn't always the one you rewatch. So start with where did it start? And where did it take you from there?
All right, I'll try the best I can answer this. Hopefully there's not any reverb coming from the microphone. So just to kind of think outside the box, in this way it'll kind of give you guys a little bit of like, because it doesn't just have to be Godzilla-centric. So for me, it kind of started when I was roughly 3 or 4 years old. I live in Florida now, but originally I'm from New York, and I remember my grandmother took me to the Museum of Natural History in Manhattan, and they had the dinosaur exhibit there, and I was absolutely captivated and fascinated by it. And
Bishop Whitaker, Harlow, Tori, and Adrian introduce you that your camera. Harlow, Tori, and Adrian, you're done.
Michael, your car is being towed. Your car is now a cube. It's dimensional to a cube. You have 2 minutes to move your cube.
Yeah.
All the way back to Florida, right? So I was fascinated by dinosaurs, especially the T-Rex, who's my favorite dinosaur. And from there, I remember on TV around the same time they were showing a couple Godzilla films, but I was 3 or 4 years old, so I don't remember too much about it. However, a couple years later, when we moved to Florida, TNT had a King Kong marathon on one night where they showed the original Kong, King Kong Lives and Son of Kong, and I became a huge King Kong fan at that point. And a few years after that, because the whole just sort of giant monster, not just, dinosaur giant monster kind of thing was very interesting for me. I started watching Ray Harryhausen films, if any of you guys are familiar with those. Really, really awesome. And then specifically, again, TNT back in the day was fantastic. They used to host a program, some of you younger people won't remember this, but back in the 90s, very famous, they hosted a program called Monster Vision. And back in the beginning years of it, it was just like this weird globe sort of host. They like spun around all that. Eventually they got the famous host Joe Bob Briggs to do it. Or in the in-between years between that, 1994, they hosted a night of Godzilla films called Godzilla Bash 94. And I finally got my real taste of Godzilla at that point. So the first film I actually watched all the way through was the original, or the American version of the original Godzilla King of the Monsters, so 1954/56. And they had a whole slew of movies. After that was Mothra versus Godzilla, Godzilla versus Monster Zero, also known as Invasion of the Astro Monster, Godzilla's Revenge, and Terror of Mechagodzilla. So that was sort of my jumping off point. And then Sci-Fi Channel back in the day used to have a Godzilla week as well, and they would show a bunch of Godzilla films, and I just started building up more and more. I started getting more and more into the films, and I just became a huge fan, and I was back, I was, 8-9 years old at this time, and I was just completely captivated by it. I remember I even skipped school a couple times to stay home and watch Godzilla films. I'm not recommending that to any of you guys. And so that, so it just kind of all took off from there. I got into the figures and whatnot. Trendmasters was a figure line back in the 90s that was produced, and finally got to branch out and start collecting more from there. But yeah, the films were just pretty much my whole life. I know you were asking, my favorite Godzilla film and my favorite film is Destroy All Monsters, and I know Chris won't really care for that. Rewatchability.
That's a good one,
but
I can rewatch it a ton.
Yeah, Did you have a question, or? Okay. So, rewatchability, I would still kind of say the original has a lot of rewatchability factor for me, just because it's definitely up there, but objectively speaking, I'd probably say it's one of, if not the best made Godzilla films still to date. So that one's got a lot of rewatchability. Certainly some from the Heisei, like Godzilla 1985, Godzilla vs. Biollante. I'm a huge fan of Godzilla Final Wars. I know that's hit or miss for certain people, but and so those are probably some of my most watched films. And like I said, so ever since a young age, I've just been a huge fan, and everything Godzilla and Kaiju related, I absolutely love.
Everett, want to go? Yeah. Everett Grondin, legend.
All right. Well, again, thank you all for being here and supporting my festival. It's just great to see you all. I love all the smiling faces, and I hope everybody's having a great time. As far as I go, my father, who, if you guys have been looking at the two front tables, he's in the giant, he has a yellow King Ghidorah t-shirt on. He's the one that got me started with all of this, against my mom's wishes. And the first movie I ever saw was the original 1954. I was 3 years old. That is a movie that you wouldn't think a 3-year-old would watch 5 times a day. But I did. And my parents were always shocked that that VHS never broke. Because I did. I would watch it, they'd rewind it, watch it again, rewind it, watch it again. So that's where it all started with me. And then it just kind of went down on a rabbit hole. I grew up with a lot of Showa. Hang on.
Attention, book covers Barry and Arthur. We can introduce that together. Barry and Arthur, we're going.
So, I grew up with a lot of Showa movies. So, a lot of my early movies after the first one was King Kong versus Godzilla, Godzilla versus Gigan, Megalon, Destroy All Monsters, Hedra, so on and so forth. So, that is why I am a Showa era fan. I'm very old school at heart. I love all the old practical effects. I love the music, and I just think Showa is the best. Perfect timing for that music. Yes, Showa for life. So, anyway, as far as rewatchability, that is a very tough question because if anybody has Pluto TV, anytime they have the Showa series on, I'm just glued to it. I can rewatch all the Showa movies. Maybe not Godzilla Raids again as much, but banana oil. So, rewatchability though, I have to go with Godzilla vs. Hedra for me. The Smog Monster is just a fun film. I love the grooviness of the 70s that gives off. I love the music. Save the Earth, you know, all that good stuff. And it's just fantastic. Hedra's an awesome monster. I think he should have been utilized a lot more in Final Wars, in my opinion, because I feel like Hedra is a big threat as a kaiju, and I think his little 5-second clip was not enough. But hopefully Hedra makes a comeback. I would definitely love to see a modern Hedra. Even in the Legendary series, I would take that. I think that would be cool. But yes, so for me, it would be Godzilla versus Hedra. That would be for rewatchability.
Rewatchability.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about the rewatchability, because I might find, that Godzilla 1985, since it is my starting point, it is my favorite. But yeah, I kind of have to get into that mood to see it, because it's a very dark film, and it's taken very seriously. Whereas Megalon, I find a lot of rewatchability. It's lighthearted, it's fun, it's got tons of kaiju, a lot of monster action, and it's just, and as a kid even, the rewatchability. It has a kid main character in it, so connecting with the kid. Even, seeing Godzilla's Revenge, connecting with the kid. The Smog Monster has that as well. And so sometimes your starting point, if you start as a youth, sometimes those are the films you kind of cling to. And then later on in life, you find maybe more appreciation for some of the films that maybe were on your B list of films that you didn't rewatch so much. So I'd like to give it to you guys, or if you had a question for any of us who have spoken already. Wow.
Dude, the American versus Japanese Godzilla in Final Wars, that scene lives in my head rent-free.
Well, yes.
It's like 1,
Yes.
2, 3, Godzilla, yada yada, and he proceeds to fry him with the legendary Godzilla breath. My dad was so pissed he liked American Godzilla.
Yeah.
And I was just like...
But that wasn't a question. Your real question was... What was it, actually? It was actually...
I don't know, I just wanted to say...
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that. Because from my favorite, this guy right here told me on with Final Wars, everything I know Godzilla, this guy.
Well, yeah. Final Wars, huh? Yeah. Gotta love that Final Wars, don't you, right? Yeah. Some of you might cringe, some of you might celebrate. It's Final Wars has got it all. I just got to tell you, Final Wars wears me out. It just.
I'm sorry.
Oh, got a question.
Like, when the Japanese guy, I don't know what he was. I just know he was like, said Gaigan. I was like, Gaigan walks in with big ass fucking arm saws.
Okay. Does anyone like to share their kaiju story, whether you started earlier in life or whatever? This little guy here, I'd like to hear from him. Come on up. Yeah, if you don't mind. Have a seat. Have a seat up here. Now tell us who you are. Just your first name.
So my name is Jewel, and how my story started was my dad tried to take me to the movie theater. I was like, I don't want to see the movie. But it was like, he said it would be a cool movie because I really liked dinosaurs at the time. And it was Godzilla 2014, and I was only 2 years old. So as soon as I saw the giant monsters, it was instantly one of my favorite things to watch. And then on the way home from there, we picked up the DVD, and then I watched it.
Attention, Bookmans and employees, could I please get customer service to electronics for a CD look?
And then afterwards,
Yes, to electronics for a CD look. Thank you.
was when we had the DVD. I watched it like 3 times a week. And then the most rewatchable one I think would be Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster.
Good choice.
That's a good one. It's got like it's a good one. And then my favorite one's probably a more recent one, the Legendary series, Godzilla King of the Monsters. It's actually my favorite movie in general.
Give it up for him. Yeah. Real quick.
Hello. I'm gonna report that. Good to see the new introducers. I just wanted to see how I look.
Let's see how he looks. Does he look good to everyone?
Do you look handsome?
Looks good.
You look guapo, guapito. Thank you. All right. So when I was 7th grade and I had just seen Pacific Rim, I nerded out over it, and I was like, "Oh my god, these kaiju, bro, they bleed blue, like it's crazy." So I lost my mind over that, and I proceeded to write fan fiction about Pacific Rim in 7th grade. I wrote about how they only needed one person to pilot a Jaeger, if you will, and then the Pacific Rim Uprising came out, and eventually they came up with people that could pilot a Jaeger by one person, and I was just like, oh, this is a lot disappointing than how I imagined in my head, but okay, But yeah, I've been writing fan fiction for a good 3-4 years, and I just want to encourage you guys to create and inspire you guys to do better and do whatever you want to do, because you can do it, The only thing holding you back is you. So I want you guys to do better for yourselves. Love you all.
Sometime you will. You will. That'd be awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Awesome. Anyone else like to share their story? Eli would. Yeah, but let's see, since you're with me, if there's someone else. Eli. Okay, yeah.
This guy
right here.
He's a nerd, bro. He's a
I really appreciate it. It's something that I appreciate too, and it's like why I like to have other kaiju content creators collab, because I like to hear their stories. I kind of like to hear where they'd like to go with it, how it's affected them, and content creation gives us an outlet for the stuff we have. And of course, this is content creation right here. We are experiencing it. Everett had a dream to bring this to Tucson, and had it a few years ago. The world got disrupted, and now we're back. We're back to being together as kaiju fans. So, let you have the mic, brother.
Hello, everybody. My name is Javier, and I've been a kaiju fan since I was basically about 5 years old. Day one. My first movie was probably Godzilla vs. Megalon. I watched it on Channel 45 KUTV. Back when they used to show all the classic movies and everything else. That's when I first saw Godzilla vs. King Kong as well. Kaiju is a really big thing for me at heart. I love collecting all the figures and like playing all the video games and everything else. Like as soon as like I found out the story on Monsters Melee was coming out on Xbox, I had to get it. Yeah. So I got the whole trilogy, of course, 5 works, and then a lot of Godzilla movies so that actually helped me write lyrics for band I'm in. So when I just watch the movies, I just relax and it's just and also, okay, so far we have my gamer tag, which is Java Gojira. And Godzilla's been a huge part of me. My dad introduced me to it. And ever since, I've been excited about all the new movies coming out, the content coming out, the figures coming out. And like this year is just, it's amazing that we're getting. Almost overwhelming. It's very overwhelming. Like this is our Marvel universe. Even better. Yeah, even better.
Oh, way better.
Rewatchability, what would be your top?
Oh, my top one.
You can watch anytime. Throw it on.
I want to say Godzilla 2000 because that's the first Japanese one I saw in the theaters. Yes.
Thank you so much out there. Coming up here, while you guys coming up here, did anyone have any questions actually? For me, for Everett, for Michael, anyone who's kind of spoken already? Sometimes it's like, yeah, you had something you had a question about. It's like, what is it you think about this weird scene in this movie? Why is it Godzilla does a certain thing? I'll tell you this much. We've been doing the series, Eli and I, with the Monster Report called Godzilla Ex Machina. Some of those times where something happens unexpectedly in a Godzilla movie. Like for instance, what's something that happens out of the blue, out of nowhere, that Godzilla can do something that you didn't even realize? Tell us. Scooch up to it. Yeah.
Like I think in Terror of Godzilla, I think it's called. Terror of Mechagodzilla, where like Godzilla like is like a magnet and like when Mechagodzilla.
The first Mechagodzilla.
That's right.
Yeah. He's an electromagnet.
Yeah, he's like electromagnet. Like when Mechagodzilla is trying to escape from him, like Godzilla's pulling him back with like he's an electromagnet.
Like
using the force.
Yeah. He never tried that ever again. He did it that one time. This is a one-time thing. I become an electromagnet, and we never speak of it again. It's like, but that would be really handy. The other times he fought Mechagodzilla, he didn't even try it in the next movie. So tell them about your kaiju story. Doesn't have anything to do with me, your dad, and my influence on you.
Well, when I first saw the first Godzilla movie was I think Godzilla 2014, and like after that movie it was just awesome. It was just so cool. All the just everything. Sorry, this is hard, a little hard to explain, but
You got it, brother. You got it. You got it. I know you got it.
Over again, like you can say, put that one on because
probably my favoriteest movie to watch over and over again is the Godzilla Final Wars.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This guy right here got me on Final Wars. Final Wars.
Godzilla Final Wars, yeah.
When he was like that same guy again, I was like.
Can you tell them why Final Wars?
That came out.
I know. They want to know why. Oh, hold that thought.
Attention, Bookman shoppers. Sarah and Larry, your deals are ready at the trade counter. Sarah and Larry, your deals are completed at the trade counter. Thank you.
So yeah, why Final Wars? Tell them why Final Wars is the one you can watch anytime.
It's well, mainly because it's kind of familiar to. Well, actually, it's because of what was it called? Like at the beginning of the movie, it was like that big machine.
You mean the submarine?
Yes, that.
The Go Tango?
The Go Tango.
Yes.
So it was because like when they needed.
Attention, Bookman shoppers. Colin, your deal is done at electronics. Colin, your deal is done at electronics.
2-1 go.
Anyways.
Hey, brother. Got it.
So yeah, the Go Tango.
Yeah, the Go Tango, like they immediately freeze the monster and like just throw straight through it. Like I could watch that scene over and over again.
That was very dramatic. Hey,
The last song was like Lord of the Rings.
Hey,
What kind of a convention is this? So Eli has just started his own channel called the Mini Monster Report. And so, like, what is it you want to do with that channel because of how much you love monsters?
To make it exactly like yours, Dad.
Exactly.
Oh, the baby.
Except that it's just named different.
But better, right? But better. Because it's Eli. So tell them real quick and then we'll get somebody else to tell them what's your favorite non-Godzilla monster.
Yeah. Say that. You're not about it.
I would have to say.
Yeah. Non-Godzilla.
That's a tough question.
See, I like Varan. Varan, he's underrated. He's just not been in enough. He's not had his real moment other than the original Varan. We haven't seen him. He was in Destroy All Monsters little. And that's it.
Not in the Godzilla universe, or?
No, just non-Godzilla kaiju.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with Otachi from Pacific.
That's a kaiju, yeah. So, no answer? Yeah.
I would have to say probably.
It could be the enemies.
I was gonna say Mechagodzilla, but that's Godzilla-like.
That's fine. Mechagodzilla. That counts.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Eli.
That did.
Subscribe to the Mini Monster Report. You're seeing more content coming out from him. And so, till we got someone else who would like to come on up and give us the kaiju story. Some of the ways we respond to it, of course, is collecting. Yes, my name is Nick and I'm a collector. Hi, Nick. I belong to Collectors Anonymous. When you start getting into collecting, you might, get into the little toys like the little Bandais, the little playmates that are at the Walmarts and Targets and things like that. And eventually you get to the what? The X Plus, which is actually like here's my wallet, go ahead and burn a hole right through it. It's like when I first get my first X Plus and realize how much I spent on it. And back off and just say, well, you know what the obvious thing here is. I've already spent like $200, $300, $400 on this beautiful X Plus. What is the thing I've got to do next? It's obvious. I've got to buy another. and another. And another. And it never stops. I was like, we're going to stop. No, we're not. No, we're not. The shelves are full. No, they're not. There's something wrong with the shelves. Yeah, there's I can find more room if I just readjust things. And then it was all the other monsters other than just Godzilla, because there's so many variants of him. And then where does it go from there? You get into the Godzilla other monsters. You get into the Harryhausen monsters. You get into, we've got Gorgo and all of the Titanic Creations monsters we have here. The other, we've got the Gamera series. We've got so much that's out there that we can collect on, and this is the way we respond to it. Even as young adults, as the OGs, whatever, we're never too old to enjoy these films and get into collecting. So you wouldn't call yourself in a collectors anonymous group. Say I have a problem. I collect Godzilla monsters.
Well, since we were on the topic of favorite non-Godzilla monsters, Chris, do you know my favorite not non-Godzilla monster, but not Godzilla kaiju? There you go. Thank you.
Gorgo?
No. Oh, I'm disappointed. I'm so disappointed. I bet you Michael and Nick both know. I bet Eli.
You mean non-Godzilla franchise?
No, like it's in the Godzilla universe.
Oh, just not Godzilla.
Who's my favorite monster that's not Godzilla?
Titanosaurus.
There you
Jet
go,
Jaguar.
Titanosaurus. Anybody Titanosaurus fans out there? Okay, there we go. Got one. Michael, what about you?
What's this thing here? All right, my favorite non-Godzilla monster. As far as Toho goes, I would go Rodan. King Kong is certainly up there. Yeah, I mean that's
a good one.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't remember his name, but the bug from 2017 Godzilla, and he was like zip-fighting.
You mean the Muto or?
No, I said 2017.
Oh, the 2017. Oh,
the one who was like the Japanese motherfucker. I mean, the Japanese guy who just like let them fight. And I was like,
oh yeah, the Mutos.
That was the Muto. That was 2014.
They only had 11 minutes of screen time. That's the crazy part, dude. I was so pissed off, dude. After he said let them fight, the doors closed, and I was just like, let them fight.
The Legendary series definitely teased us early on in 2014 with the monster fights and kept cutting away. They tried to replicate what Jaws did, but it just didn't work the same way with Godzilla.
Hey, bro. I'm sorry.
Real quick.
Where'd you get your shirt? That shit go hard. I mean, that stuff go hard.
This shirt here?
Yes, sir.
You can get this shirt, I believe they still have it available, on the Godzilla store. So go to the Godzilla store, just Google Godzilla store, you'll find it, and then just go to their apparel, and it's there.
Dude, that shirt. That's what I'm saying.
That's from the Godzilla store. We also have Ghost X Ghost, yeah. So, yeah, there's those designs. We've seen the cavity colors, like Chris is standing up here. That's the cavity colors. Godzilla shirt. They're doing a Godzilla -1. Yeah, 30. So I actually have a coupon code. See me if you'd like that coupon code for 10% off. Cavity colors. Of course, there's so much merch out there. I mean, it's just like you have to find yourself to the point where you're saying, I've got to figure out what our friend Chris over here. He's like, 84, 85. I want to focus on that, and that is healthy for a collector. I don't know how he does it, but because like I love Godzilla vs. Gigan too. So I've also got to get the Godzilla Tower that they just released, and it's just like, oh my goodness, there's that one, and then they want to release this other variant of this and that, and I'm just like, I've got to find myself saying, I'll take a pass on that one, maybe next year, and then regretting it later sometimes. And I see Everett's collection, and I say, oh, I missed out on that one. I missed out on that Smog Monster, that Evera, or whatever. So, is there anything out that is new that we're all excited about? Like whether it be a new movie, a new comic, a new Netflix series, a new whatever. Real quick.
So a new orangutan villain? I saw the trailer for New Empire, I think.
Yep, New Empire, Godzilla X Kong. Yeah.
So I'm curious about him because in the trailer he was sitting behind a body of bones. So I'm curious if he's like a Titan killer or something that comes around. If he's a new Apex.
Right. Yeah, there's so much that we could speculate at this point of who that is. Like, is it the son of Kong?
So he was just telling me he knows everything. Just like,
I kind of think he's Caesar from Planet of the Apes. Yeah.
Dude, like exactly.
Yeah. Eli, what are you excited about? Of course, Godzilla -1. That's happening. We've got so much cool stuff that's even coming out that's non-Godzilla related. Of course, we have the Netflix series where there's the Monarch series is Godzilla related. It's based on course, the MonsterVerse, the legendary MonsterVerse.
They don't replace their leader.
You are so excited, aren't you? Yeah. I'm glad. I'm glad. It's, your energy is contagious. Okay.
The Troll Godzilla movie, the Obama. Okay, it's just the two leaders.
So when they were like Skull Island, which one was before? So yeah, they were like Skull Island in their British accent.
And it makes sense too.
I freaking knew it, dude. They're gonna
Instead
make
of saying, oh, it's this director,
My dad was like, no, they're not gonna do that. And then you see the ancient text like millennia. And it was like this, Godzilla going. And I was like, I called it. When they said monarch, I was like,
They could be fighting. They could be doing a dance together. Who knows? I don't know. You know, the hieroglyphics and all of that. So, Eli, what are you excited about? Oh yeah, it's -1. Yeah, -1's of course got us all hyped up. Godzilla x Kong, you know, the legendary series. There is actually a lot of cool figures that are coming out. Talk with Mac over here. He's got Gorgo, 33 centimeters. What's that? All sorts of stuff, but yeah, recently coming up is the Gorgo 30 centimeter. I know I've pre-ordered some things from Super 7 that I'm still waiting on. It's funny, the Super 7 pre-orders. I don't know if anyone else pre-orders stuff from them, but it's like, pre-order it and then just kind of forget about it, because I'm not even kidding, it's 14 months for the Toho Ultimates, and then it finally arrived in the mail. Oh yeah, I did order that. How old was I back then? How old am I now? And it's like, I'm still waiting on some of the other Ultimates that I pre-ordered forever ago. And it's like, you know, can you turn these around? Because here's Super 7's way of doing things. Oh, reaction. You've seen the reaction figures they put out. Here's another one, here's another one. Oh, you don't like that one? Here's more. Super 7 Ultimates. Give us a minute. Give us a lot more. No, we'll get to that. I'm sorry, serious.
That's close to 2 years.
Yeah, no, we'll get to it, but here's the reaction figure. I don't want a reaction figure, I want the Ultimate sign. So can you please maybe stop the reaction figures and start producing that? Mondo, of course. Mondo's problem is the other problem. Pre-order, and it's gone. Yep. They dropped it, and now it's unavailable. Sorry about your luck, you know. So, love these toy companies, love the stuff they're producing, but goodness gracious, sometimes it's like, I want to just, you know, I want that one. But then if somebody got in there with all their bots probably and bought them all up, and now you can buy them for triple amount on eBay. You know, what about for us collectors that want these kind of things and, you know, want a reasonable way to distribute them, a reasonable way for us to pay for them without breaking the bank? You know, those are the kinds of things that I want, and my frustration as a collector. Anything to add to that? Get some venting going.
I mean, I could go all day on that, but we have some questions. Yes. Oh, well, NECA lost the license. They lost the license, and then I think that's when Playmates probably picked it up. Because the licenses always change hands over time. Yes, Chris?
That is correct.
Yes.
Playmates took over.
Yeah, Playmates took over, which is fine. You know, everybody has their likes and dislikes. And if you like Playmates, that's awesome.
Had a good ride.
Yeah. Yes.
Sir, you have knowing that, you have knowledge. This guy right here is the reason why I took Godzilla's fight back to when I was 4.
That's awesome.
I want you to know.
There you go.
When they were like,
Oh, I don't want to hear.
I was just going to say, some of the other things, you're not necessarily a figure collector. There's other things that you can get into the collecting. Before I got into figure collecting, my biggest thing was home video releases. So, of course, and books. Books, there was a lot of literature, a lot of media, comics, because those are a bit more inexpensive, let's say, because a comic book doesn't cost as much as an X Plus figure, but then you can get the whole series of comics and all of the films and their soundtracks. What's cool now is that vinyl albums have come back into style, and I don't know what happened, why that happened, and I'm glad, because physical media is going out in so many ways, which I don't want it to, But then like something like vinyl albums of collectible items and your favorite artists that you were listening to on the old school way of listening to it. You know, I think that's an interesting phenomenon, and of course they're going back to the old Godzilla soundtrack library, Mondo, Waxworks, and bringing these back. So, you know, I guess what is kind of the payoff for being a collector of things that are not figure related, but things like that?
Well, from personal experience, from all the vinyl records that Mondo, Waxworks has put out, even other companies, they, you know, back in the day, vinyl records, they were all one color because that's the only color that would play cleanly. They weren't technologically advanced enough to do all these wild colors that you see now. And now we are, so now you have all these monster movie vinyl records that are, you know, marbled, or they have specs, or they can be UV light reactive. There's all kinds of cool stuff, and it still is my rabbit hole. I need to catch up on some, but I've always enjoyed music, especially the monster music and stuff like that, but I've never been like a huge music collector. But now I have a vinyl record collection of all these monster soundtracks, and I absolutely love listening to them. They sound great. So I can't shout out enough, you know, check out waxworkrecords.com, check out mondoshop.com. They have great selections of things, and you will not be disappointed, and they're just great items. The slip covers have amazing artwork, you get wild colored vinyls, it's just all fantastic. Yes?
Thank you so much. I'm sorry. I'm about to explode.
You're good.
The vinyl from Old Dirty Bastard, I'm sorry, ODB, is a square record.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
It's a square, and it still plays the music. So you know the album cover for ODB in that record? It's literally that album cover. It's his ID.
Interesting.
It around.
That's cool.
And then
Destroy All Monsters.
Yeah. I actually know it wasn't very common, but there are 1960s multicolor records.
Oh, interesting. That is cool.
the Red Hot Chili Peppers, for example, they came in blue around 19-something 80s. I don't know.
I did not know that. That is very, you know, you learn something new every day. That's awesome. But yes, no, we got all kinds of stuff. So definitely, you know, check out all the different outlets and everything like that. Seismic Toys is having a sale. So head on over to seismictoys.com. He has a great selection of figures, laser discs, vintage, you name it, he's probably got it. Probably no X Plus or anything, but a lot of the smaller stuff and just great selection. And again, just like Titanic Creations over here, you're supporting a smaller indie company, and I think that's where we need to focus on. Just like my festival here, I love that everyone has showed up and shown support, and I can't thank you all enough. This is what I strive for. I just want people to be happy and just have fun. So thank you all again for being here.
Keep kind of going here with the last couple of minutes we have before closing up. But if there's questions, just throw the hand up, and even if it's anything related to kaiju in any kind of way, even questions you have for anyone up here, we're glad to answer questions. This is cool. We like to talk. Yeah.
Yeah. Godzilla and King Kong 2024. It said there's a new Godzilla, and it's called like Mishu. A new Godzilla.
You've heard that?
Yeah.
Okay. I have not heard much. I try to.
I saw the trailer.
Okay. See, I.
That's Focus Shoppers Daniel and Danielle. You can show me up right there. Daniel and Danielle.
None of you. Yeah. I'm gonna just start like backing up their announcements at some point. This is still cool. I love having this here. I think this is a great venue. I really appreciate what they did by opening up their doors and working with us as vendors. When we were outside, now we're inside. Hey, it works. We're all cramped together in this kind of way, but this is a great place. So, yeah, a good cause. Yes, the cause of kaiju. So, other things that are collectible items or things that you can get to as a kaiju fan that doesn't break the bank is actually like even the video game side of things. I would say there's not a lot, and I'm not even really a big gamer when it comes to that.
Attention equipment employees, can I please get a member of CS to the tarot case? CS to the tarot case, thank you.
So we got the gamers. We've got, of course, we talked about comics and graphic novels. There's tons of them that are out there. Some people are big into artwork, indie artwork. There's a lot of really cool indie designers that have come up with their own kaiju figures. And what else did I see? I saw someone selling puppets. I don't know if they were kaiju related, but they were hand puppets. And I saw, what else did I see? I saw just a ton of really cool. They've got these tumblers over here. You know, that's all kaiju content creation. You don't have to be necessarily a YouTuber, a podcaster. You don't have to do all these things to be a content creator of your own. You know, creating the toys or, you know, having a hand in that in the artwork. You can create your own. We talked about fan fiction earlier. And so when it comes to like kaiju content creation, does anyone have any other like the outlets? Are you typically listening on YouTube, on, you know, checking out posts on social media? Is it podcasts? Yeah.
Well, I watch Everett Arenas in podcast.
Never heard of the guy. Never heard of him.
And I also watch
So yeah, the YouTube side of things. Yep, that's right. Yeah, bringing it here outside of, you know, the bigger cities like that, out here, out west, and I love this out here. This is new territory for Eli and I to travel out here. We're Hoosiers. We came here from Indiana, and we're just glad to be amongst you. You had a question, sir?
Yeah, they had Salungus, Gabra.
Gabra?
It was like a big gorilla. Gabra? It has a horn.
Yeah?
It has little like pigtail ears. Yeah.
Okay.
I saw that a couple months ago.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And I was going to say, yeah, the singular point you mentioned. Yeah, the singular point. Sometimes I just kind of forget about that one. I'm still digesting Singular Point. Singular Point was pretty cool for what it was, and there were some cool figures that came out of that. Interesting story. Of course, it's Netflix, so if you even still subscribe to Netflix anymore, or I don't know, can you still have somebody's account, somebody else's account, or they put a stop to that? Yeah, they did. Yeah, so you can't share the love of Netflix around, can ya? Can ya, Netflix? Can ya, Nick Allen? Yeah.
How did you feel about the Power Rangers Godzilla crossover?
I actually have them. I have not read them. I have them. I have them. I really would like to.
They were amazing.
Were they? Yeah. Well, and that is a cool crossover. And I think Godzilla can have some more crossovers, more than just King Kong and the Power Rangers. Just that works. That just works really well, actually. You know, and I was even surprised, you know, when after a kid growing up with the Power Rangers in the 90s, you know, the very original series, and then realizing that my suspicions were confirmed that they definitely were using Japanese footage with American actors who did not get into those suits. They did not fit in those suits. They were not doing those moves. But it was like, that didn't matter. That didn't matter at all. You know, that was as a kaiju fan, that was kind of filling that void where we were lacking in the 90s a lot of content that was not coming out of Japan. The Heisei series was being produced, and they were being released, and we weren't getting a hold of them. They weren't in our theaters, and there was no internet to get the DVDs, you know, moved over here or downloaded the files or anything. So unless you made the trip to Japan and brought home, you know, a VHS tape or something, you weren't going to see this, the Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. You were going to see Mechagodzilla 2 or Godzilla and Mothra: The Battle for Earth, and then Destroya. And we were hearing about Godzilla vs. Destroya, where, you know, the end of an era, that Godzilla is actually going to die, and, you know, well, he dies, but, you know, he's not, you can't keep a good monster down.
Never gone.
He's never gone. Gone but not forgotten. Not gone either. Yeah. He's coming back.
From radiation, this is like back to normal.
But then we heard about that in the States, but we weren't getting the content. But yeah, crossovers like that. Is there another crossover that would work well with the Godzilla IP? Because we got Kong, sure, even though he's not King Kong, he's Kong. But I think there's other crossovers. There's one that is just so like glaringly out there, and it should be crossed over, and why it hasn't happened is such an injustice, and I think he knows.
Yes, this came out last month. Godzilla vs. Justice League with King Kong.
Oh well, but it's happening. It's happening.
I
Yeah.
know it,
There's
know
one
it.
that
And then also the 26 issues of Marvel.
Okay. Yeah.
We fought the Avengers and Double Dinosaurs.
See, those are cool crossovers. I don't mind those in the comic universe. But there's one glaringly big example that has not happened. We've been waiting on, which is
Kaiju or Godzilla X Pacific Rim.
well, that would be good too. Gamera and Godzilla need their moment. They need their moment to either duke it out, team up, or both. We'll take it. Just get them on screen together and give us, the Kaiju fans, combine these two wonderful IPs that are part of our childhood that we would just like to see them cross over. Any comment on that?
Thank you. I love them, by the way.
Just a quick comment on that, actually, because I mean, I think obviously that is the crossover that we do want to see. From what I understood, from what I read on this, the companies have talked, because Toho owns Godzilla, as you guys probably know, and Daiei owns Gamera. So the companies have talked, it's just they haven't been able to reach an agreement, and that's why film has never happened.
They can't decide which monster is going to win, and in the end, that's where it's like, okay, just give us a team up then. That's problem solved.
Or they both end up falling into the ocean and it's ambiguous, right?
Yeah, like that. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, they did that with the Godzilla versus Kong, the original King Kong versus Godzilla. And they did that, essentially, I think they did that with the Freddy and Jason. I didn't actually see that, but I think that's how it ends up. That's sort of a stalemate. I don't know. I didn't see it, so I don't know. But when they do those crossover IPs, yeah, figuring out a way to end it. Should there be an ending? Should there be a victory?
We'll have one more question, and because then we need to move on to our next panel, which Chris is going to be doing, called Collecting Responsibly at 3 p.m. So what's the last one you got?
All right. So I'm gonna start a debate: Legendary versus Shin. Who would win? I don't want to hear, oh, he can do this, oh, he can do that. Legendary versus Shin. Who would win?
I'll start that one. Shin.
Shin. No, Legendary, bro.
I'm sorry. I'm going with Toho on this one. From Japan, Godzilla from Japan. It's Shin.
Shin. Final answer. Anybody else? Alex?
Defend your answer.
I love Shin, but I'm gonna have to go Legendary.
Ooh, okay. Chris?
Legendary.
I'll have to go Legendary.
Legendary. I know you heard me
I'd
right.
have to go Legendary.
Ooh, the mob is against us. Eli, Shin or Legendary? Oh, there you go. You're doing something right.
So defend your answer.
Shin Godzilla's heat ray is just, I don't know. I don't know if there's, I don't even think Burning Godzilla could beat that, in all honesty.
Legendary Godzilla, yeah, his heat rays are 5400 Celsius.
If he gets the power up from Mothra.
If he gets the power from Mothra, but that being said, he got the power from Mothra, so.
It'd be interesting to see, for sure.
I like that.
It'd be interesting to see, for sure. All right. So, Nick, I'll let you wrap it up.
All right. Thank you as always. I just encourage you to subscribe to these guys' channels. Chris running the camera back there. Goji Fan 93. Catch him on YouTube. We've got Zilla Fan 85 also on YouTube. Go Godzilla Fan Freaks on YouTube. And the Monster Report. I've got my banner up here, my setup over here. I've got business cards for you. Come and check it out. Trying to get to that 100,000 subscriber mark. I am so excited. It's because of the fans that that's possible. So it's a show highlighting those entertaining creatures of film history. And little Eli here has got the mini monster report. He's an upcoming YouTuber, and he's following in the footsteps. One day, the reins will be passed to him, and he'll no longer be Mini. It'll be the Monster Report. And it'll just keep going from there. And so that's what's the beautiful thing about this. So we always say on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, but we always say, instead of smash that like button, we like to say,
atomic blast that like button. And for Chris, if we might steal his line, stay big, G-fans.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Atomic.
Doing the next panel. This is going to be collecting responsibly. So if you guys are interested in collecting and tips and tricks and all that stuff and advice from us addicts, then this is the panel that you want to be at.
You have an addiction, bro.
I do.
I think we can all safe to say that Christopher up front with all those gigantic spiral figures, I think he has an issue.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay. You good? All right. So, so this is the Collecting Responsible panel, and I wanted to do this panel because, I've dealt with in the past, having an addiction with collecting and stuff, and it's not going to be a super serious sort of discussion, but I did want it to be something that, if you guys are going through collecting a lot and you either feel like it's becoming a job or stressful or anything like that, I never had anybody to tell me, hey, this is kind of a lot, or to give me advice, or to stuff on help, collecting and whatnot. So what's up?
This guy right here had kaijus on his wall since I was 5 years old. This guy, I swear to God, if I know anything about Godzilla, it's because of him. All right.
Well, yeah.
That's it.
I know. So what I have come up with is the 5 W's of collecting. It's who do you collect, why do you collect, what do you collect, when do you collect, what am I missing?
Sorry.
That's pretty much it? Okay. What's up? McFarlane Toys? Oh, I don't know McFarlane Toys.
McFarlane Toys, I don't know if you collect them, but whoever has them has them.
Oh yeah, Spawn, yeah. Yeah. So so the first thing that I say is, what do you collect? And this can, obviously you guys can raise your hand, and, because I want you guys to get in on the discussion too of your collection. So the first thing I say is, what do you collect? So for me, recently I've been getting into just collecting stuff from 1984. So that's helped me tremendously, being able to focus and hone in on a collection that's not so crazy, where I'm not buying all different kind of characters. So really anything that's from the 84 film is what I prefer to collect, or what I collect. Then where do I collect is pretty much it's really anywhere that I find a good deal from. eBay, Amazon, the Godzilla store if they have stuff. I mean, recently I know the Godzilla store had the 84 Bandai that released last year. So.
Why does the 84 resonate with you?
Well, 84. So I mean, pretty much when we're talking about Nick Adams' panel, 84 is just my all-time favorite film. So I was like, I think I was, I don't know. Mom, Dad, you guys can help me with this. If I was 2 or 3 or something when I saw 84, 2. And you know, ever since I saw '84, it just stuck with me. And it's just the imagery, the music, just everything about that film. I don't know. It just struck me so hard that I was like, all right, this is my favorite version of Godzilla. So yeah, so that's pretty much why I want to collect '84, because it's just that character or that version of Godzilla is just my all-time favorite. So Everett, what do you collect?
You might say I have a bit of a problem, but I do collect responsibly. I just know what to buy. I collect a little bit of everything. I have anything from Bandai. I even have some Playmates. I have X Plus. I have Titanic Creation figures. I have plushes. I have vinyl records. You know, the Diamond Banks. I got a Jet Jaguar. I collect a little bit of everything. And that's just because I really enjoy the variety. I know a lot of collectors get into scale and what they like, and that's fine, and everybody just has their own preferences on what they want to collect, and I just like having the variety because everything just adds just something a little bit different and just speaks to you in different ways. Like X Plus, they're amazing to look at. They're beautiful, detailed sculptures. Learning from Spiral, like me and Chris have learned, we can enjoy those figures from afar. Because as much as, I don't know if he can hear me, Christopher wants to push payment plans, that's just not happening. But yeah, no, it just depends on what speaks to you. You know, Bandai's a good backbone of Godzilla collectibles. It's always just been a good, solid line. Like, Bandai's always reasonable. Of course, there are Bandais that can get expensive. That's, of course, when you get into the aftermarket. And then it just depends how much you may want a figure. Does it speak to you that much to spend on a figure that maybe was originally $20 to $25 and then to turn around and maybe, let's say, $70? So just collecting a little bit of everything, I just think it's a good thing to add variety. It's what people like to see, and of course that's why I created my YouTube channel, was to inform people. And you know, granted, a ton of people do figure reviews on all these figures that have been countlessly reviewed before. Everybody has something different to bring to the table, and it's just always fun to hear everybody's opinion. Yes?
I'm sorry, guys. So I'm about to leave, but Godzilla 2001 was in my bathtub when I was a baby, and he's not here anymore, but I have him to thank for that, because he gave me the culture, and our culture is a gift. Our culture, their culture is a gift to us. You know, one day I want to have kids and give them this culture. So I just want to thank you guys. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you for coming today. I enjoyed your energy. You're the reason I'm doing this. Energy! All right, Michael, what about you now?
All of that. So I guess I'm kind of similar to you in a way where I kind of delve into different brands and what have you. My history with collecting has been kind of a long one. Like I said, my original Godzilla figure I ever got was when I was 5 years old, and it was called it's from Mattel. It's called the Mattel Godzilla's Gang Godzilla figure. I did a review of it on my channel. Shortly after that, I got the Imperial Godzilla along with the Imperial King Kong. And then a few years later, like I had mentioned in the other panel, Trendmasters came about, and they started releasing their line of Godzilla and Kaiju figures. And I, you know, especially at that time, I was really getting into Godzilla and Kaiju, and I just jumped all over that and tried to collect as many as I could. From there, once I started getting older and because at that time I was still a kid, so I was kind of dependent upon my parents or, you know, my grandparents buying me stuff. But once I got older and was able to actually get my own stuff, I started getting more of I started getting some of the Bandai vinyls. Like, I specifically remember the Final Wars, Anguirus and Rodan were a couple of the ones that I picked up, along with the Bandai movie Monster Series Space Godzilla. And then I really started getting into like collecting the Gashapon figures, which are the mini. They're about 2 to 3 inch figures. They really don't have any articulation, but they're compact, so they can fit on a shelf. You can get a whole bunch of them, because I really wanted to start having a, like Everett always mentioned, having a representation of at least one of every kaiju in my collection. So I built it up from there. And my tastes have kind of evolved from there. I like those I still have them. I really started building my YouTube brand on reviewing those, because I hadn't seen a lot of reviews on those types of figures on YouTube. So that's kind of what I started doing when I started out. But I really wanted to start getting the more standard size figures, so really trying to build up my collection with the standard Bandai vinyls. And there's another Japanese brand which I really like, and I've reviewed a lot of their figures. It's called YMSF, and they're like a sort of like a smaller private-owned company, but they do actually have the Toho licensing, so they've produced a lot of figures. I really like those. And then I've kind of evolved from there, and now I really like the articulated figures, so I was collecting some of the NECA Godzilla figures, and now I've gotten into, and probably my favorite figure line is Bandai's Tamashii Nation's SH Monster Arts, because I really like all the articulation. I like the earlier in the line products that had a lot of accessories and things like that. And so that's kind of where I've gotten to as of now. So that's kind of how I've evolved over the years. But I do like other stuff too. I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, so I've collected a lot of figures from that. You know, I like superheroes, so I'll collect some of that stuff. So a bit of a mixed bag for me. But so those are kind of some of the main ones that I'm really into getting. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Yeah.
Has been affected by like the subscribers that are talking about things. You know, are you affected by your fan base as to how much you collect and what you're collecting, and try to cover all, you know, everyone?
For me, I want to say it kind of goes to that for an extent. I do purchase kind of what I like. I don't want to say I necessarily base it off of like what's popular, what's popping, because like with Spiral right now, they're the big brand name that is in the game right now. But you're talking about figures that are $1,000 to $3,000 a piece, and that is a very limited market for certain people. But like if all the fans wanted was Spiral or something like that, I would kind of be like, well, you're not going to find it here, because so I do cater. I want to say we do cater to an audience to a certain extent, but we're not going to totally go bankrupt or lose everything to please it, unless we're making that much bank from YouTube, which none of us do. Well, Chris, you make a little bit. I'll let him take over from here.
So yeah, this goes into the little bit of a, I want to say addiction process with it, but back in the 2014, 2015 when I was doing my channel, I blame Rich Iso. I will always blame Rich Iso for X Plus getting me. Yeah, he'll deny it, but it is his fault. I would buy a lot of X Plus, but the thing is I would buy the X Plus figures, do the unboxing videos, and my audience would love those videos. I mean, those were like one of the most viewed videos I would get. So when you're someone who's really into getting these figures, but then you're getting also the audience that just wants you to continue to get these figures, to get the next guy and the next one and the next one, you're in this constant state of wanting to stay on the pre-orders and getting all these guys, and you end up spending all this money, and you realize like, wow, I'm not really wanting these guys, but I know that I have viewers that are wanting me to get the next thing. And so for me, it was a problem. I mean, it was like it was just this vicious cycle of, you know, okay, I got to pre-order this guy because I know that if I do an unboxing and then either a review or whatever, I'm gonna get, you know, all these views and stuff. And it was a very bad way to look at it. Now, I definitely am more aligned with what Everett said. I really stick to what I want to collect, and I don't really care if my viewers want this certain thing or not. It's more of just, well, what do I want, you know, and what is the thing there. And when it's in my way of only collecting something from one movie out of a, you know, 30 plus something franchise, that's super hard, and your audience is going to be very, you know, they're going to be like, well, he's not really, especially if it's someone who doesn't really like 84, they're not going to watch, you know, or anything like that. So, but at the end of the day, I feel a lot better about the collection I have now than the collection that I had before, because, you know, I would look at it and be like, it's a wall of plastic and vinyl and all this stuff that I don't necessarily care about. I don't even remember buying half these things. But now I can look at my collection and pinpoint every single thing on that shelf and know the story behind it.
Attention bookmen and lawyers, can I please get a member of CS to the gallery? CS to the gallery. Thank you.
And you know, realize like how much money that guy was valued at, or the again, the story that was behind it, why I wanted to get it and all that. So I just find a lot more joy in the collection now because it's smaller, but there's nothing wrong with a smaller collection. So, you know, goes into the next one. Who do I collect? Obviously, 84. That's easy. And it's, you know, it's been a nice rule that I've set for myself, because 84, since it is just one movie, but it's also great because it's just Godzilla in the movie. There's no other monsters. There's no other anything. I mean, you could say the Super X and Shockerus beetle or bug thing. What's his name? Shockerus? You know, the bug thing at the beginning of the movie. Don't look at me like I'm crazy.
Oh, yeah, the giant sea lions. Yeah.
You could say that. Right. Yeah, you could say that. Oh, do I want to collect that thing? Not really. I don't consider it a big player in the movie. I think it was just more of a.
I want to see Loud.
Of course he does. Of course he does. So it's made it very easy for me and my wallet, especially. You know, because, well, recently I guess Toho has decided to release a lot of 84 stuff all at once. There's like the movie Monster Series reissue, and then you convinced me to get the Mondo one, and then X Plus. I previously, from like 10 years ago, had the 30 centimeter X Plus one, which is like the old school guy, and then the Defo Real one, and then probably my most holy grail was the 25 centimeter X Plus guy, which is like the most rare, one of the most rare X Plus figures, but I found him for a really good price. And so I had to snag him because I was like, okay, I mean, I had to get this one. So, so that's that. But Everett, who do you like to collect?
Well, before we get into who I like to collect, we did have a question. Yosh, you had a question?
So as you were talking about narrowing kind of your collection to something that reflects more you, how do you deal with viewership? And I apologize if we already covered this, but you know, like how to kind of keep viewers, you know, if you narrow your scope.
How to keep them engaged.
Yeah. So sometimes in the videos, like if I'm doing an unboxing, I try to put like a funny skit at the beginning of the video, or you know, like the NECA 84. I used to have the old one, the really bad, just not great toy, and then I recently got the newer one, which was like a little bit refined. They fixed a few things, so I made a skit at the beginning where a lot of my fans know that I really I don't necessarily like this figure, so I made this skit where I have like a nightmare of the old one when I unboxed him, and so now I'm getting this new guy and I'm just complaining the whole time or whatever. Like it's, you know, it's just fun stuff like that to sort of play it up for the camera, but ultimately, you know, if no one wants to see it because it's a figure or something that they don't care about, then that's fine. I mean, I'm not, you know, it's not about the views anymore. It's not about like, you know, hey, I bought this guy, you know, I'm sharing it with the internet, but if no one really is interested in that, hey, then they're not, you know, that's cool. You know, it's not about the numbers, because if it was, then it'd be just back down into that rabbit hole of like, well, I gotta chase this and chase that, and then I'd be back into, you know, debt and all that. And so, but now that I'm an adult and married and have a small apartment and bills have to be paid, it's just not in the books for me with that. So yeah.
So what was your question for me? Who do I collect? Brands?
What monster? Oh,
what character?
For me, when I was really building my collection, my first year going to G-Fest with my dad, one of my goals was I wanted a representation of each monster in my collection. I didn't mind if it was Bandai, I didn't mind if it was X Plus, Vintage, Marmot, whatever. You know, so that was my goal. And then who do I collect? My favorite Godzilla, King Goji, Godzilla 1962 from the original King Kong vs. Godzilla. That is my favorite Godzilla design. Usually when figures come out of him, I'll usually not pass it up if I can help it. Jet Jaguar, you know, and speaking of SH Monster Arts, did you hear the news, Michael? SH Monster Arts is finally doing a 1973 Jet Jaguar figure, and I said years ago they need to do that figure because they had the Ultraman figures that were humanoid articulated figures, and I was like, they could totally pull off Jet Jaguar if they could do Ultraman, and now here we are over 10 years later or something like that, and it's just fantastic. Multiple monsters, Titanosaurus, you know, if there's anything, which there's really not a lot of Titanosaurus stuff out there. There is a funny, you know, ongoing joke with Jim Jenkins, one of the G-Fest originals. He was helping Greg at Eggsy and Japanese Imported Toys. If you've ever been to G-Fest, he's one of the dealers there. And he had to step away from the table for a minute, and he had a little tiny bullmark Titanosaurus that's like yay high, just a few inches, but it's such an old figure. It came out back in the 70s, and it's just like a little bathtub toy. You wouldn't think nothing on it, but that figure goes, back then, he was selling it for $500. Jim misheard it, and he almost, hang on.
Good afternoon, shoppers. Anna, your deal is done as a trade counter. Anna P, your deal is ready.
Build that suspension. So, Jim, though, he almost sold it for $5. And that's, it was either 5 or 10, and I think that's where the $10, a lot of money came from, you know, that saying that they all do. And, yeah, no, everybody gives Jim Jenkins a hard time. So, Jim, we know you're here in spirit. I'm sure he'll watch all this footage once it's released because he really wanted to be here for this. And, yeah, just great guys at G-Fest, you know. One of these days, who knows, we might get some of the G-Fest guys over here. That would be a lot of fun. But Titanosaurus, Jet Jaguar, King Caesar, the Showa version, not that manged Final Wars one.
I'll give you that.
So, you know, everybody has their favorite monsters that they like to collect, and if there are monsters in my collection that I do have multiples of, it would be, you know, those.
Attention Bookroom employees, kindly get PS
I will pass it on to Michael now.
Well, before I start off with who I collect, one thing just to add on to the point that Chris was saying earlier about being responsible when you collect is, in my, just in my opinion, if you're going to collect for the sake of collecting, it's not really a good venture because you're going to end up going crazy. There could be 50 different versions of the same monster, because there's all kinds of different companies. And it's just, you're not going to sleep at night. You're going to be spending who knows how much. And I don't have $1 million laying around that I can just, spend whatever on anything. And, you just got to be careful. I've done some stupid things before because I came kind of late into the game with a lot of my collecting. And so I ended up having to get a lot of stuff on eBay. And a couple times got into some bidding wars. One for a Mega Gearus Bandai figure that I won the bid but didn't feel good about it after because, yeah, I'm not going to say how much I ended up getting it for. So, but what I always like, my best advice is there's another YouTuber named Kyle Peterson. He also collects a lot of different figures. I like the way he says it best. Choose your own adventure, because you can't go wrong that way. So as far as who I collect, Well, like Everett, initially I wanted to have representation of at least one of every kaiju in my collection, which eventually over time I was able to do. Now I'm kind of just like looking at more of the ones that I really like having, and maybe having a couple different versions of, like how Chris was saying the 84 Godzilla is his favorite, and he likes to pause. Thank you. All right, so for me, my favorite Godzilla design is the 1989/1991 design, because they're essentially the same minus a few tweaks. So I try to collect a whole bunch of different ones. I have different, a bunch of different lines: NECA, Bandai, SH Monster Arts. So that's kind of one of the big ones, especially as far as Godzilla goes. And then I like having some more of the lesser known kaijus in my collection. Like I really like Nick over there. I love Varan. Got a couple different versions. I have the Bandai Movie Monster Series, and I also have the YMSF version. I like Baragon. I love collecting him, especially the show of Baragon. Manda, another one of my favorites. YMSF has a couple different versions of that. And Gorosaurus, also one who hasn't been mentioned yet, but another one I love. And I will actually, I'm not huge on the Playmates brand, but I will give them a lot of credit. I think they did a fantastic job with their version of Gorosaurus. Yeah, Chris, where do we want to take it from here?
Okay, so let's see, where? Yeah, that's a great transition. Where do I collect? So this, I think everybody goes on the classic places: eBay, Amazon. Now, though, the Godzilla store has a U.S. branch, which is fantastic. So you don't have to go through some third-party place to buy it for you and then ship it to them and then import it, and it's just this mess. There's also, when I did collect a lot of X Plus, it was Hobby Search. That was a big place that I would go to pre-order stuff. Ami Ami is another place. But the other places, sometimes it's just like when you come to shops like this and you hunt for stuff, or you find stuff that you weren't even expecting to get, and then all of a sudden you find it there and you're like, oh, that's really cool, and then you pick it up. So I think the responsible part of this is, I don't want to say to be someone who just, always get the pre-order, but unfortunately always get the pre-order. As much as I hate to say it, but if you don't get it, like if it's something that you really want, and it's in your budget, and you can pull it off, and you're not going to feel, regretful afterwards, always pre-order, because nowadays, especially with Mondo stuff and X Plus too, as soon as it gets released, it will sell out super fast, and then all of a sudden you're looking at aftermarket prices, which are 10, 20 times the price, and it takes all the fun out of it. So if you're, going online to find stuff, I would say eBay is probably not the best place to go unless you can find like really good deals. I remember the 84 Movie Monster Series one that came out last year. Yeah. A lot of eBay sellers were selling him for the retail price. It was about $30. That's great, but you still want to go to the place that's selling it first, because they're always going to do either more shipping on it, or they're gonna say free shipping, but really what they're doing is they're including that extra shipping cost in the price, so it's kind of tricking you. You say, oh, it's free shipping, that's great. Not really. You're still overpaying if you don't really look at it. So yeah, I would say definitely stay away from Amazon. For some reason, I don't know with these figures, but like X Plus or anything like that, Amazon always has really overpriced stuff when it comes to it.
Very rarely will you go on Amazon. I've done not to tell Chris that he's wrong, but check your resources. Just know where to shop, because all of us being collectors at some point, I'm sure even Nick and others can attest to this, at some point we know we've overpaid for something a little bit, but we wanted it. But then that's when we learn, and that's why we wanted to do this panel, to show people, make sure, like at G-Fest, if you've ever been to G-Fest, or even, if this festival of mine grows to a point to where we have dealers who have figures, always shop around, because sometimes a lot of dealers at G-Fest, a lot of them will have similar figures, but at different prices. And then you can go and shop around, see who has the best deal. And of course, certain dealers, if you're very kind, they will be wheel and deal with you, and they'll try to work something out with you. But Amazon, very rarely will you find something, but it is possible. Always check your outlet. Same thing with online. As much as we will say stay away from eBay, you know what? Just take a ponder on there, and as soon as you see that first page of something you look up and you're hitting that $800, okay, it's like, okay, let me move to this next site, and then I'll start there. But yes, pre-order. If it's something that you want, pre-order. And usually X Plus, they have the US RIC site. I was kind of unsure about using it at first because it's converting, your US dollars to yen, but it's a US RIC site, so you can buy X Plus from the source as long as they'll put it on the site for their pre-orders. And it's really not that complicated. I ended up getting a phone call from my bank just making sure, hey, was this you that made a purchase in this Japan website? And it's like, yeah, you just do that and clear it up. But a lot of the sites like X Plus and whatnot, they will give you a pre-order window. So, and it's usually about a month. And if you think about it, if you have a figure on there, and sometimes the conversion rates to the US dollar to yen, sometimes they're pretty good. Like that Godzilla tower that was just recently, up for pre-order that they did from the Toho Maniacs line. Hang on. So the Godzilla tower from X Plus, that's a figure that's not your normal sized X Plus. It's in its own line of 17 centimeters, but the conversion rates after shipping and everything, less than 80 bucks. That, for if a figure like that, is very affordable. So I can't pressure it enough. Go through a lot of these sites. Head over to TitanicCreations.com, see what they got. They got great deals on all their figures. But I will say they are a little cheaper here because you'll save on shipping. So if you see something over here that you like, pick it up. And but all these other sites, US RIC, Mondo, Waxworks, Seismic Toys, check out all these different sites, do your research. If you're a part of any groups or discords online, ask questions. There's never a bad question, just bad answers.
Also, to help with that, with eBay, actually before I get to eBay, also groups, Facebook groups. That is a really good resource to talk with other collectors and ask around. Like, hey, I'm looking for this particular guy. Where can I get him? What's a fair price? What do I need to stay away from? If this price is good, am I getting scammed? Am I not? That's always a good resource. And sometimes, Facebook Marketplace might be another one too. I haven't delved a lot into it, but I know that those groups will probably transfer you to those Facebook marketplaces as well. And 99% of the time, those Facebook groups are super helpful, really nice people that are in that group, because you're all in there for the same reason. You're all looking for something, and then you also find trading too. Someone will either say, well, hey, I'm looking for this guy. I know you have that one that I'm looking for. I have this other figure. Do you want that? And we'll just do a trade. So there's not even really a monetary thing. It's just, well, maybe shipping or whatnot. But other than that, it's just you trade figures or something. So with eBay, though, another really good tactic, and something that I've been monitoring just for fun, is they actually have recently, and I think it's because of the Movie Monster Series 84 releasing, the Memorial Box 50th anniversary guy, the 84 figure, he now all of a sudden is popping up on eBay a lot. So I've noticed him popping up a lot, and the prices have ranged from either 100 to 200, then to outrageous stuff like 500 because people think it's still super rare. But the thing I've noticed is one of them that I saw started out at 175, but every week or so I would check just because it's, just I get a kick in the teeth with it. And I noticed that the prices have dropped and dropped and dropped. And this guy has had his posting there for months. It seems like no one is biting. So what he's doing is he's lowering the price to just get it sold. He's someone who's like, okay, fine, I get it. No one's wanting to buy it at this price, so I'll lower it to see if I can just get this guy out of here. So that's another thing. If you see one that's on there, even if it has a buy it now at the moment, maybe just hold on 1 second just to see if it will drop. You know, if you see that figure a lot on, like if there's a lot of listings, you might go, okay, there's a lot of competition for that one figure apparently, and you're looking at all these different sales and people going on. If it's just like one listing of one character that's super rare, chances are he will go fast because it's only one listing. But if there are multiple listings of the same guy but with varied prices, chances are that all these guys are competing to see who can get the best price, and they're going to keep on lowering and lowering it until someone buys that lowest price, and then, you know, it'll fluctuate. So if you're really looking at something on eBay, do the waiting game sometimes, because it might actually really turn out well. Because I think that one that started at 175, it's now down to like under 100 because the guy's he's probably getting tired of holding it. He's like, all right, fine, 50, you know, like can I get rid of this? So that's another thing too. Yeah, so where do you guys like to buy?
So I guess I'll actually kind of piggyback off of that because, like I was kind of saying before, I kind of came into the really building up the collection for myself game late into the game, so I ended up having to go on sites like eBay, especially, is where I got a lot of my figures from. And like Chris was saying, you just got to kind of keep your eye on things. You can put them on your watch list if you want. And then you can even I've had instances where sellers had buy it now prices, but I've actually sent them messages and made them an offer that way, and they've even accepted them there. So I was able to get deals done that way. It just depends on the seller. It depends on, like you said, how long the listing's been going on for. And, you know, so you just have to be mindful, and you got to try to keep yourself sharp on it, because if you don't want to get ripped off, just try to know what the market, like the MSRP of the figure is, what maybe it's kind of going for if you're getting it in the aftermarket, and just try to keep all those things in mind. And there are, not just ourselves, but there's a lot of YouTubers and, you know, who review their figures and whatnot obviously on the platform, and a lot of the times they will, especially if they're knowledgeable, they'll go over what pricing you should be looking at. And so like I said, just try to keep yourself educated. But eBay's been kind of the big one for me. Like I said, I just try to be mindful, at least as best as I can. Certain things I know I got ripped off on, but, you know, I was just trying to build up that collection. It was, you know, it is what it is. But Amazon's a good spot for, I know Chris didn't really agree, but for certain things, Amazon is okay to buy, as long as, hold on. As long as you're kind of looking at maybe getting something when it's first releasing, I've noticed, as opposed to if it's been listed on the site for a while, because then I notice they do start raising their price. Yep, exactly. But there's some other sites I haven't really used, but I know like Hobby Link Japan is a good one. Big Bad Toy Store, a lot of reviewers have raved about ordering from them. And even like these guys were saying too, in my area, again, I'm in Florida. I have a local comic book shop. They get a lot of cool pieces in, and especially if you build up a rapport, because they're like a privately owned business, you can usually get deals on things there. So you just gotta look at these different venues. But those are, from what I would say, sort of the main ones that I look at. And then of course, otherwise you can be looking at conventions. Now sometimes vendors at conventions will be charging more, but then there's times where they're just trying to get rid of stock and they're willing to bargain. You just gotta try to talk to them. And, so yeah, that's kind of what I would recommend.
And speaking about vendors at conventions and stuff, you go anywhere like a Comic-Con or G-Fest or anything like that, try to wait till the last day if you have something you have your eye on, because usually the last day, that'll be when the vendors will be a little more lenient on, like, you know, hey, you know, I know that's $50. The best I can do is, like, you know, even if it's like 35 or 40, see what they go, just test the waters. It doesn't hurt, you know. And it's, I don't know where I was going to go with that, but no, the Facebook groups, that's what else it was. Facebook groups.
very knowledgeable people. Christopher, who has the big spiral figures and stuff, he actually started a Facebook group, and it kind of helps people build rapport, because there are people in groups, sad to say, and it has happened that people get scammed, or people just take the money and never ship it, ghost the person. That has happened. But Christopher created a group that very reputable sellers and collectors can be a part of. I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but there is a group out there to where people will ask for reference checks on this person. They'll be like, yeah, no, they're a good seller, they'll do you right. And a lot of collectors like myself and others, we try to be fair. Sure, everybody wants to make a profit, but there is a difference between, maybe you got this figure for $50, and then maybe instead of doing like $100 or $150 for it and getting that profit, something like $70 or $80. They do that $20 to $30 profit, and that's being just a fair collector. Like on my main table, there's an X Plus Diamond reissue Mecha Godzilla, and that figure, last time I saw it online, usually goes for about I think 400, and then up from there, depending on how crazy the scalpers and stuff can get. And so I kind of based it off of that, and I was like, a fair price without the box, $250. I feel like that is fair, and that's just what it's all about. It's just wanting to be fair, not wanting to rip each other off, and we've all done that. This guy, I gave him so much money, but it was a good deal for all of it. And I went and picked it up and I brought it home, so I didn't have to pay for shipping. And we just had a great time, and that's just what it's all about. You just, you make that connection. You want to be fair to others. This guy right here, he took my comment off of one of his videos stating, because I wanted the NECA creature from the Black Lagoon. I picked this guy up from the airport yesterday. What does he pull out of his bag? A NECA creature from the Black Lagoon, because he knew I wanted it. And I'm like, well, thanks, man. And Nick, for instance, he's not here right now, but oh, he's right there. But for instance, him. I've never really been into laser discs, but Seismic Toys ended up having some stock of laser discs, and one of my favorite Toho movies that's a non-Godzilla Toho movie, Frankenstein vs. Baragon, also known as Frankenstein Conquers the World. They had a laser disc on there. It was only $40, but I've just kind of been in a limbo to where it's like I just haven't been able to secure it, just because even if it's $40 plus $10 shipping, just haven't had the funds there for it. And I even told Nick, because Nick was holding off on buying it because he knew I wanted it, and then Chris, who runs Seismic Toys, he knew how much I wanted that too. So Nick bought it, and he even told Chris, I'm going to give this to Everett because I know he wanted it. So then Nick, we get him from the airport, we get back to my place, and then he has me open up this package, and Lord and behold, it's the Frankenstein versus Baragon laser disc, and I am just, all of you guys have basically come in and given me something, and it's like, you guys just being here has been enough. You didn't have to bring me gifts, but I really appreciate it. You guys are just all awesome. Again, thank you everybody who's here, and just having a great fun time. Chris, your turn.
Also with eBay, again, something that I thought of too, try to stay away from listings that are stock photos of the picture that's on the company's site, because you have no idea what it looks like. Always look at the people that post detailed pictures of the actual figure they have, if there's scratches or nicks or something on it. I always get a little nervous when I see a posting that's just the stock picture and that's the only picture. You just want to be very careful with that. Okay. Yeah, I think I want to pass it to the audience. If you guys have any questions about collecting and in a responsible way and all that, just if you any questions or anything like that, stuff that we talked about. I know actually you are new to collecting, so I'm glad that you're here. This is going to help you a lot. So do you have any other questions about?
I saw one that said 7 something. Big
Super
7.
7?
Are they good? Are they bad?
My only experience with them is I collected the little reaction 84 guy. They're cute little figures. What, $20? 3 inches. I mean, I actually have been tinkering with maybe wanting to get into that wave. It goes against my 84 only thing, but there's another part of me that's like, that's kind of cool. They got like a Megalon, a Jet Jaguar, like they have all these cool different characters. But I'm still kind of on the fence with it. But anything else, I haven't been. I don't know about these guys.
I'll touch in on some Super 7 info for you. Super 7, they seem to put out really decent figures, but I also want to say, and who knows if I'll end up being on Super 7's list like I am on Mondo's apparently, but I don't necessarily agree with Super 7's price points. For the figures, for what they are, the prototype figures and the pictures that they show of the product, they look good, but now that we finally have been getting them in hand, I wasn't really at all impressed with the paint or the detailing of the 89 or even the Rose Form Biollante, which I was on the fence of, because that is one kaiju. I have Biollante in my collection, but I do not have a Rose Form. And I was kind of like, well, maybe if I see it in person, but this was one to where it was like pictures and video was doing it justice for me, and it was like I just didn't like the way it looked. It just looked sloppy, and I feel for over $80, it's a little steep. I feel like Super 7 would be a little more reasonable if they dropped into maybe the 50 to 60, possibly 45, depending on the figure. Hold. So, yeah, that's my take on Super 7. If you want to maybe get one of the figures and see for yourself, it doesn't hurt. If you have the budget for it and it's not going to hurt you in any way and you just want to maybe just go for it, go for it. The other issue with Super 7, like Nick touched on in the last panel, they just seem to take forever to bring these figures to fruition. You're talking over a year that we're waiting for these things. And then when the products finally get in hand, the paint just looks sloppy. It doesn't justify the over $80 price for me. So then you hold out, and then what just got announced not too long ago? Rose Form Biollante's getting a Movie Monster Series Bandai that you can pre-order on the Godzilla Store website for $28. So that's what I'm going to go for my Rose Form, if I can tell you that. So if there is anything from Super 7, though, that I am a little curious on, is that Meltdown version of Godzilla. I think that kind of looks cool. It just depends on the execution. Yeah, you're going to look it up right now? Yeah. No, it looks really cool. It depicts Godzilla in Godzilla vs. Destroya, but it depicts him in his meltdown stage. So, like, part of his face is melted off to where it's revealing the skeleton underneath, and it looks really cool. But now, I just want to wait and see what people think of that figure in person and what the pictures look like before I really decide if I'm going to get that or not. So that's my take on Super 7. Give it a chance, but my opinion, I probably wouldn't go for it.
So I'm pretty much in agreement with him on there, especially as far as the pricing goes on Super 7's Ultimate figures. And I can actually, and he knows this, I can attest firsthand for the Rose Form Biollante because I have it. You've seen the pictures of it. I mean, it's not. I'm not going to say it's a terrible figure. Is it worth $85 like they were charging? No, absolutely not. For half the price, maybe. And like he said, then if you wait a little longer, the Bandai Movie Monster Series is going to be coming out for like a third the price essentially. So it's just kind of, I'm not trying to, I don't want to, go after a company or whatever. But I think though, for the price, I think they kind of need to go back to the drawing board and maybe try to fix some things one brand that I haven't gotten anything from yet, but I've heard a lot of good things about is Hiya Toys. So that might be something to look into.
So same with me. I don't know much about Hiya Toys. I feel like they're maybe just a little more detailed than SH Monster. I don't know. It's very, very comparison between the two. But in all honesty, Bandai is king. You can never go wrong with a standard 6-inch Bandai. Bandai usually will have good detail. They have good paint apps. Baran, Mud Dog, I don't know. But, you know, if you go into maybe some of the older Bandais, I don't think you'd be disappointed. Their sculpts back in the day, hold.
Your deal is running at the trade counter, maybe it's your dealer then.
Especially when you go back to like the 50th anniversary Memorial Box Days and stuff like that. Some of those Godzilla figures are so exclusive to that set. They've never been re-released before, but the sculpts are beautiful. As much as some people may hate on Godzilla 67 from Son of Godzilla, that is still a sought-after figure because Bandai's never done a 67 figure outside of that. Same thing with the 62. 84 was originally exclusive to that, but look, they reissued it. So 1955 is all, and that is actually one that I want to say the 50th Memorial Box one looks better. But you know, Bandai can't these days. Bandai can be hit or miss, but usually they're pretty good. And for the price point, they're affordable. They have decent detail. You get basic articulation. You just get a nice representation of the figure. You can never go wrong with Bandai.
All right, so basically to close this up, yeah, it's, you know, collecting can be a very fun and wonderful, rewarding journey, but it can also be a very scary, dark kind of place, you know. So if you just be careful of what you're buying and really be sure of what you're doing. We didn't really get to the whys of collecting, but why do you collect? But really make sure that why are you doing it? Really ask yourself that question and be honest with yourself. Why am I buying these figures that they're just, you know, I buy them, I put them on the shelf, and they just stare at me? I mean, like, you know, what really makes that click for you with it? So, you know, even for me with 84, Christopher down there, who has all those spiral figures, he told me that 84 is being released from that company. And, you know, as much as I am an 84 fanatic, I have to stop myself and be like, I can't, not that. Like that, you know, you have to set those boundaries for yourself, even though you really want to. And even if you might have the money, sometimes it's just not worth it, you know? Because at the end of the day, you might not be happy with it. And then all of a sudden you got to figure out if you got to sell it. And then you're not going to be able to sell it for the original price anyways. So the other thing too, collect for yourself. Don't have any pressure from anybody telling you what to collect or, oh, this brand is better than that brand. We may have our opinions about the brands and which ones are better. Like, I don't particularly care for the Playmates ones that are, you know, that have been released, but that's not, you know, up to me to judge for someone else. You know, the young generation, they're going to Toys R Us or Target or whatever, and they're seeing these Playmates on the shelves. That's their trend masters. When we were kids, that's their Bandais, you know. So you know, don't stay away from all the gatekeepers who are saying like, well, you have to get X Plus if you want to be a real collector. That's not, no, don't do that. Like, you don't even have to have a giant wall of figures. You can have one figure from anything and you're a Godzilla fan. Don't let anyone tell you that you're not a fan just because you don't have X, Y, or Z. That's not, you know, that's not a healthy way of looking at it as well. So you know, also make sure that when you're collecting that it's not replacing a hole in something else in your life, because that's a big thing that happened to me. It was a big filler of something else that was missing. Just again, you have to look at yourself, make sure that it's not for that. You know, you're like that your hole. You know what you're doing, and then you also collect because it's fun. So just really get into that place where you can be really sure about what you're buying and you have the budgets for it, and you also have a support group. Make sure you have a support group, that people that can, you know, if you can go up to them. My wife is probably my biggest support group when it comes to these things. Sometimes when I see something and I'm like, I think I want it, I ask her, and you know, she's the one who tells me. She's like, well, really, what when you buy that, what's that really going to do for you? Is that really going to make you happy, or is that just doing like a quick dopamine rush and then that's it? So make sure you have a support group that people that can, you know, tell you the truth and be like, hey, I think you might be going a little overboard with it. Or, I mean, like even Everett, when it came to the Mondo 84, I mean, I wasn't really sure. I didn't even know that thing was around until he showed me. And I was like, I just got back into collecting. I just got back into my channel. And now all of a sudden, you know, this thing is here. But he knows me enough. And he's like, you'll be fine. You got this. It's fine. You know? And I have it. And my wife is fine with it. And I'm fine with it. So it's good. You know, and so that's really what I can say with collecting. Make sure that it is. What was that thing? I think it was what you said. It is the journey or it's the adventure. Choose your own adventure. Yeah. And then I mean, Matt from Monstrosities has a good slogan too. Collect he has, you know, collect responsibly. Rich Iso has a good one. It's buy what you can afford, buy what you like.
Yeah, buy what you like, buy what you can afford.
And that's really the truest words that I can say on that. So I could write a book about collecting. It's ridiculous. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for being at the panel. It means a lot. Yeah. Back tomorrow. No video today.
Okay, you got it.
You good? All right. Well, don't start it yet. We're not starting. All right. Wait, not there. Start the recording. All right.
Right.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, that's enough. So, he's just getting started in YouTube under my administration.
All right, so this panel is going to be pretty low-key. We're just going to talk about, I guess, how we got started on YouTube, and then we'll take, you know, we'll just maybe do a Q&A, just sort of have a discussion, an open discussion.
Green is no, red is record.
Red is recording.
Okay, just want to make sure.
I don't trust you.
Okay.
It takes one time.
It's red.
Struggles of being a YouTuber, camera people. All right. Okay. I think we'll start down the line. So let's start with you. How you got started with YouTube, and
All right, so I've had my Google account and get a YouTube channel with that since 2012, but I never did anything with it. However, way back in the early days, I just became a fan of watching videos on there, and especially got into, if any of you guys are familiar, if I can talk today, with James Rolfe, the Angry Video Game Nerd, and really loved his content, especially his older videos, and just the way he was just so raw, and I loved his skits back then. And was just always really enamored with it, and I never really thought about actually doing anything as far as making content or anything like that goes. But you know, I've always been obviously a huge Godzilla and Kaiju fan, and really into figure collecting and whatnot. And a few years down the road, I had started discovering more like the Godzilla and Kaiju figure collector and reviewer channels, and sort of my main inspiration why it's such an honor for me to be here today is because of Everett himself. I loved, like I had seen other Godzilla and Kaiju figure reviewers on YouTube, but there was just something about the way that he did his videos. Like Chris always says, he was just kind of off the cuff. You know, nothing really scripted, nothing crazy, just kind of just shoot and go, basically, exactly. And I just liked it, and he was always very thorough, though, with his reviews. He would really strictly cover paint and sculpt, and then go into sizing and pricing, and just really give anybody who is interested in, you know, maybe purchasing the figures for themselves, he gave them a lot of good information to go off of. And I said, you know what? I really like this. I've been collecting a lot myself, and I had certain types of figures, like the mini Gashapon figures that I hadn't seen a lot of reviews on. I said, you know what, I'd like to try my hand at that. And eventually I did in about 2018, so a little over 5 years now, I've been you know, doing my content. I'll do some other things, some video game stuff, but I mainly kind of stick to my niche of Godzilla and figure reviews like that. And you know, it's something I really enjoy doing. I don't monetize my videos. It's a hobby that I like doing for fun. And I like it's a way that I get to connect with fellow Godzilla and Kaiju fans, because I don't know a lot of them in, you know, just my real personal life. So But I got to be friends with all these great guys up here because of that.
So, Bookman Shopper, Eli, we are done with your deal at the trade counter. Eli, all done with your trade counter deal.
Breeze trading stuff in.
All right. So for me, I started in 2013. I didn't really have sort of an inspiration. I mean, I always wanted to like share my opinions on the things I liked, and especially Godzilla because, you know, growing up, I didn't know anybody who liked Godzilla. I was always that one kid that was the weird one, you know. When I started doing it, it actually was, I wanted to just create like a YouTube channel that had just like all the trailers and just like gameplay, stuff that really was already made. It wasn't really original content for me, just as like this Godzilla Hub channel. But then I did, I think I had like an unboxing video, and that was like the first time I showed my face, and then I started to have a bit of this personality behind the camera, and then I started to do like my own series on Godzilla that did like reviews and top 10s and all that, and it just took off from there. A couple years later, then have a bit of a midlife crisis at like 25 years old, and then have a retirement, and then go through just a crazy, I don't know what happened to me, trying to figure out myself, all this, and then just this year marks the 10th year anniversary of my channel when I created it back in the day, and now doing a relaunch and coming back to the scene, thanks to like talking to a lot of these guys behind the scenes and telling them like, you know, should I come back? Should I do this again? And you know, they were all telling me, yeah, of course. And so it's been amazing coming back to it all. It feels great. It's something that is one of the best hobbies to have because again, just like what you were saying, that I got to meet so many people and make so many friendships that it just, I had to keep on doing it because it's just so much fun. And a lot of opportunities too. I mean, it's helped me learn how to video edit, to use Photoshop, just to present myself in front of the camera, to be more comfortable doing things like this. I mean, if it wasn't for YouTube, I would be still very shy and not being able to talk in a mic. You know, it's pretty insane the skills you get being able to do this stuff. But again, the most valuable thing was just meeting amazing people like this, and just being able to do things like this is just insane. I mean, if I were to tell my younger self, hey, you'll be doing panels and talking to people and making friendships over the internet, I'd be like, what? So it's been a crazy ride. It's been awesome. So yeah, hopefully many, many more years and no more midlife crises.
All right, well, I have a similar story to Chris. I got started back in 2013 as well, but I missed that giant inflation of subscribers that he got versus me by like 2-3 months. But I got inspired by going to my first G-Fest with my father in Chicago and just meeting all of these other content creators. Richie, so Samson West, you know, there's too many to name out there. And it was just one of those things like, you know, there's so many people that do these figure reviews already. What new could I bring to the table that's going to be different? But then I kind of put that in the back of my head, and I was like, I'm not going to care about that. I'm just going to, you know, if this is something I want to do, it's a new door to the hobby, and I'm just going to do it. And I've been doing it now for also 10 years, and it's just been great. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I'm also not monetized, but I have a feeling my own little get-together with these guys tomorrow, I think Nick and Chris are gonna like hold me down and twist my arm and be like, we're gonna monetize your channel whether you like it or not. But that's nice because they want me to try to make a little money off of it, which I appreciate. So that might change. Hold. Okay, but so that's kind of how I got started, and I just, you know, had fun with it. You know, I'm a very cut and dry YouTuber. Things have changed over the years thanks to the help of these gentlemen. You know, Nick has helped me out a lot creating the intros for my channel and just all that fun stuff. And then I've just been learning as I go with technology and what I'm able to do with my phone. And it's because that's what I do. I don't have a complicated setup like some of these guys do where they have kind of a mini studio and everything going on. I literally just have a mini little tripod, and this is it, right here. This is where you guys see all my stuff come through. It's this. Uploading, recording, editing, all through here.
And I gotta say, that is like the best thing about this guy is just the charm on his channel. It's just so like old school YouTube. There's no like facade. It's just turn on the camera, hey guys, this is what I'm doing today, and then the camera turns off and you're like, that was like the most genuine thing ever. So yeah,
Thank you. Stop making me blush, man. But no, and it's just been a very fun ride, and then continuing to go to a few following G-Fests. As you can see, I have 3 kill counts on my badge. Not as many as some others. There are other people who have lanyards that are just, you got badges and badges and badges because they've been going to it ever since it started in the 90s. But and it's just been a very fun experience. It's been a fun ride, making friends along the way, hearing that I'm an inspiration to others for doing things. I mean, it's just fantastic. And it's just been really fun. I wouldn't trade it for anything, and I'm just glad to also bring something like this to the West Coast for Tucson, for people who can't make it to Chicago for G-Fest, because it is a big commitment, whether you fly or you drive, especially in today's economy. It makes it very difficult for people to also even save up funds to go to G-Fest and buy some stuff, because before you know it, it's like your budget for G-Fest is like, for figures or whatever it is you want, could end up being like $30, and sometimes that can be disappointing. But that's why I wanted to bring something here that G-fans can come and appreciate and kind of have a taste of G-Fest. And I love seeing all the smiles, I love seeing all the faces. Thank you all for coming and supporting all the vendors and everybody here.
We are done with your deal at the trade concert, May.
Yes, and with that note, I still have to give a big shout out to Bookman's for allowing me to have this venue. Because without them, we would probably not be here, and I'd still be trying to search for a venue. I don't have the biggest budget, so thank you to Bookman's.
Alright, so I actually started on YouTube in 2014 with the release of the Godzilla 2014, the first Legendary pictures, and it was always in the back of my mind to do something with YouTube, because I had the video production experience. I was actually teaching at a high school, my old high school, television and radio program, which was the oldest in the country. They actually had a TV studio that were on cable in our local public access station. So we had the green screen studio, the lighting and all of that, and I was like, you students of mine can all produce your own shows. We can keep it on cable, but we can also say, take that show, upload it to your own YouTube channels. After you graduate, you keep those YouTube channels and keep them going. You guys do a gaming channel, you guys do a sports show, you guys do, pop culture and events and music. Just tell me what you're interested in. And I was like, I'm wanting to start something about kaiju. I don't know what it's going to be, something about Godzilla. I took inspiration from AVGN, James Rolfe, Angry Video Game Nerd, and Nostalgia Critic. If any of you guys remember Doug Walker, he's still doing his thing too, but there's a lot of people like him too, and I was like, I could do something like that, but I also wanted to be family friendly, because I wanted to get married, have kids, and I want them to be able to enjoy the shows with me, actually. And so, and my kids are a big part of my show too. We'll do unboxings together, but that's something that evolved from just being a simple reviewer. We're going to review it, and why would you care about my opinion? Well, I don't know. Maybe you agree with me, maybe you disagree with me, and we can have a conversation about that. But trying to find G-fans like this, you have to go far and wide, because sometimes it's like, I don't know where the other G-fans are. I'm kind of like on an island by myself, and it's like, are they? And then I see somebody with a Godzilla shirt in the store. It's like, there's one! I found him! There's a Godzilla friend! And it's like, hey, tell me about Godzilla. It's like, you're creeping me out, dude. No, tell me. And it's like, now we We can have forums on social media, on YouTube. We can have live streams where we collab together, and that has been such a amazing experience. That there are people who are into this just as diehard as I am, and in some cases more diehard, because I've found some guys that, man, they just know every single creator, writer, music director who was playing second flute in Akira Ifukube's, I mean, goodness gracious, I'm like, yeah, I thought I was a super fan until I met some of these guys. But hey, I'm connecting with them, and we all have our strengths and weaknesses, and that's actually grown my channel quite a bit. Collaborating with others, and I will say I'm very blessed. I'm not going to say I'm lucky, because I feel very blessed by God, because I did post one video that did go super viral. One. I only have one. I wish I had more. We all as YouTubers are like searching for that thing that just unlocks the keys to the algorithm, and I don't know what I did. But Legendary Pictures did retweet one of my videos, 2014. They ask you to make it look like Godzilla's in your hometown. So somebody in Tucson, somebody in San Francisco, wherever, can take a video selfie and run away from nothing, the sound effects of Godzilla. Well, I asked my students, I'm like, after class, why don't we get together? Hey, you want to help me with this video? Part of the production class. I'll put your name in the credits, and hey, if you don't want to, that's fine too. It's not for a grade, it's just helping me out. Yeah, let's do something like that. And I was like, I think, guys, we can make it look like Godzilla's actually in the skies over my little town of Union City, Indiana. And I said, let's do it, let's toss it out there and just see what happens. It's just for fun. And they allowed you to do that, monetize it, and it went. Legendary Pictures actually retweeted it. And I didn't even know it. I didn't have Twitter, which is now known as... Okay, but we all got that out of the Twitter. At that time, somebody had actually messaged me on Facebook saying, dude, they retweeted your video. And I'm like, no, why would they want to retweet my video? And it's like, no, look. And I was like, okay. I kind of wanted to print it out and frame it. So I'm like, this doesn't happen all the time. And now it's sitting at about 48 million views now. I wish, again, all my other videos had somewhere close to that. But I'm just glad for every like, every subscribe, every comment. I'm happy for all of that. And we can all say every single time that happens, we want to reach out and say thank you for that. And that's, we appreciate that so much. And it's not all for the monetization. That's a blessing, but as we're going to be talking about, it's not all about that. It's got to be something that balances your life. You've got to have a life outside of doing just content creation. So I'm excited to answer some questions and work with these guys on talking a little about content creation, and just glad to be here at Tucson Kaiju Festival.
So before we do like a quick Q&A, I just want to say that how many of you who are sitting here want to be a YouTuber or want to get into it, thinking about getting into it? Show of hands. All right, you are? Okay. So, the thing that's interesting with YouTube is that it is such an unknown beast. It is something that you'll go into it and you'll think, okay, I have an idea, I think this is what I want to do, and a lot of people will say, okay, you just work super hard at it, you edit, you put many hours into it, you do all this stuff, do all this research, script the videos out, do all this stuff. And the thing is that YouTube is a beast that it's all about the luck of the draw. When you upload that video has a chance of blowing up like it did for Nick, or it pops out and then it just dies. Like in the first 24 hours, I feel is the most crucial time for a video. Like when you upload it, that first 24 hours, that is the time where YouTube needs to either pick it in their algorithm and then shoot it up to all the recommended pages and all that stuff, or if it misses it, that video is just gonna completely fall to the ground and all that. And it's one of those things that I've learned throughout the 10 years. It's been so rocky where you get so you get really disheartened in it. It can make you very angry at the world, where you're just like, I'm putting all this work into trying to make this happen. I'm trying to do all this stuff. I'm doing all the right things. I'm trying to follow the numbers. I'm trying to follow the analytics. I'm trying to, like all these other big YouTubers that are saying the tips and tricks and all that stuff and the secrets, it's not working for me. Because it's all this I don't want to say luck, but I really feel like it is. I mean, it's just something where you put it out there and you just hope that it works. The thing that I've found, though, is you have to, yes, do we all want this to be a job, like a career, where we make six figures and we can live off doing this? Of course. Everyone would want that kind of job. But unfortunately, it's not. And for every success story, there are thousands of stories that people just don't make it. But that's okay, because not everyone is supposed to make it into that like top 1% of YouTubers. But the thing is when you're doing YouTube, at least in the style that we do, I guess, because we're still very niche in what we do. It's not like we're gonna reach super mainstream stuff. We're still talking about things that are still in a way a niche. So you play to your strengths. You do what you feel is the most fun and fulfilling part of it. And my channel description, what I post is, I don't really say like what I do or anything like that. My channel description is, I'm just a G fan that wants to connect with other G fans around the world. And as far as I'm concerned, I've achieved that goal. I've met these guys, I've met you guys, I really can say that it was a success. The biggest thing too is, what does success look like to you? How do you define it? Is it, do I make a lot of money on YouTube? Is it, can I make 100 subs, 1,000 subs, 10,000 subs? What are the goals? All of that really depends on you and how you want to plan out your attack on YouTube, For me, I'd say, again, I would love to, maybe make more money on it. It'd be great, I mean, I don't necessarily like my day job. I'd love to do more things that I'm more passionate about. But fate has told me that, no, this isn't really what is in it for you. So you're going to have to, enjoy it for what it is and really like hold on to it and be like, no, this is fine enough, Yeah, I mean, that's really the biggest thing. Just find out, what does success mean to you. And like I said, to me, I think I've made it because I've made friends, I've made other GFan friends, and that's pretty much it. So, and again, there's nothing, there's a stigma that if you're doing YouTube and you make money, that you're like a sellout or people look at you differently. No, if you make money, that's great. That's why we're telling Everett to get partnered. There's nothing wrong with it. When you get to the numbers where you can get partnered, do it. It's not a thing where it's like, well, okay, if I start to make money, now I'm a sellout. No, it's not. No. There's nothing wrong with making money, of course, It's just, don't let that be the end goal, though. Don't let that be the thing that drives you in your path of being a YouTuber, You want to do it to, first off, as a hobby, as something that you do after you get off your day job. Like right now, the way my schedule is, I don't know about you guys, but the way my schedule is that I work, early in the morning, like 4 a.m. till 2, or like 6 a.m. to 2:30, and then I have the rest of the day to work on videos. So it's really cool. It's like, like during the daytime, I'm, my job, and then at night I get to be a YouTuber, and it's fun, so set reasonable expectations as well, when you post a video, just, don't expect it to blow up. Just say like, that's something I made, that's cool. That's something I made, and that's like on like a public platform, and people can comment and like and all that stuff, and that's just a cool feeling with that, So that's, set reasonable goals with that kind of stuff. And again, like what the title is saying, is balancing life responsibilities with it too. I've had the time in my 10 years that I've been doing this, long story short, there were a lot of things that I sacrificed in my personal life that didn't need to be sacrificed. Things that I put to the wayside that I wasn't focusing on, and that hurt me in the end. And that what made me in a weird spiral during like a very dark time. So make sure that the people that you love and the people that, your family, friends, all that stuff, really make sure you still don't forget them, don't like just be so tunnel vision in doing this to where you're forgetting about your health, you're forgetting about finances. I mean, it's like just, it should remain a hobby first. If it does start to take off, that's great, and keep on going with that though. Don't be like, don't be afraid of success. but also be cautious with it. You know, make sure that that success is not sacrificing something that's better than that success. You know, sometimes the grass isn't always greener on the other side. So that's my soapbox with that. I think, you know, enough of the seriousness. But I think, you know, if you guys want to say a little bit more on that topic, and then we'll go into Q&A, and I think we're good. Yeah. Okay. Let's start.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think success means doing something that at the end of the day you're feeling happy about doing. You know what I mean? Because it's like, if you're gonna look like Everett and I always discuss this, if you're gonna do YouTube videos, make YouTube videos, and look at it as, oh, I gotta do this, and I gotta pump this many videos out because I'm trying to make money or whatever, then you're basically looking at it as more of a job. And to me, I don't want to look at it like that. I want to do it and I want to have fun with it. I mean, everybody's different, but that's just kind of the way that I personally feel about it. Exactly. And, you know, because it could be very draining, and as kind of we all know, mental health is extremely important. So you don't want to do anything that's going to end up overtaxing you to the point that you just, you know, feel miserable and you're not enjoying your life. Because even like, you know, I mean, I know you had personal stuff going on, but YouTube on top of that was not helping matters. So I mean, that's just kind of how I look at it as. So I think right now, and I know like what you're saying, yeah, maybe eventually if I get to that point to consider it, but I'm not going to look at it as that's going to be my main source of income, because no. It's very rare. I mean, you've got a lot of the big companies, like the big movie companies like Disney or whatever, yeah, but they're big time companies. If you're going to have like people who just are YouTube, you know, it's very few the people who are super successful, like Angry Video Game Nerd or Mr. Beast or, you know, people like that. It's right, yeah, because they have sponsorships. But I mean, there's still more of the exception than the rule. You know what I mean? And like our thing is very niche. And even if you look at other figure reviewers who are not even just kaiju, who are just figure reviewers in general, I mean, you got like Shartimus Prime, Laura Legends, Jobby the Hong. They do decently, but if you look at their numbers compared to, you know, again, like people like Mr. Beast or something like that, it's nothing. So you just have to find what you enjoy doing. If you want to do more than one type of content, like I said, I've done other types of things. Probably one of my best rated videos is, and it was really just a one-off thing, is, you know, I like cars and I really like my car that I have, and after I had it for a year, I did a review of it, you know, just because, you know, I wanted to, and you know, give people like who were maybe interested in that model and maybe wanted to have something that was a little bit fun to drive, but we're still on a budget, at least give them something to aim for. So it's just, you know, so you just gotta kind of do what you feel comfortable with doing. But like I said, I can't stress this enough. Don't do it to the point that you're going to feel like it's just a chore and it's a job, because you're not going to be happy. That's pretty much what I got to say. Everett?
Well, bringing some of those names in, and since we're all here and we all know how to network, and I want to say Nick is probably our best shot. You know, it would be really cool, because I think they're just a state over, to have at a Tucson Kaiju Festival in the future. You know what would be fun? Nicolas Cage is a big Godzilla fan. And then, you know, Jobby the Hong, I think, would be fun to have here too. If anybody knows Jobby the Hong, swivel here. Maybe he'll watch this and he'll see it and he'll be like, oh my goodness. But, no, you know, I'm kind of looking forward to tomorrow and hanging with all you guys and twisting my arm and seeing what this next step is going to bring. And, you know, the one video that is really kicked off on my channel, and I tried to duplicate it, didn't turn out so well, I got to figure out a different way to do it, but toy hunting videos. People love toy hunting videos, and when I did my toy hunt video for the NECA Shin Godzilla, that is my most popular, most viewed video on my channel. And I just, you know, it's one of those things though too, is that
What makes it difficult is here in Tucson, there's not a lot of places to go and find like a kaiju figure or something like that. Like in Phoenix, yes, but I don't always have the time to take a pretty much almost a 4-hour trip in total to go up to Phoenix and back and record a video. It would just seem like it's a little tiring. But I did try that with Lawrence not that long ago, and I have to figure out a different way of editing that, because compiling that whole video and editing all those sections in destroyed the quality of that video so bad. I don't know if any of you watched that. It was pretty much like Phoenix. I think it was like a Phoenix toy hunt video or something, I named it. And me and Lawrence went up there, and we were just we were looking for Gundam kits because Lawrence turned me on to Gundam. And but it was just one of those things. It's like, okay, well, let's try and do this. And it just didn't turn out the same way, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to possibly try it again in the future and just figure out a different way to do the video to where compiling them all together doesn't destroy the quality. And then even though I mention it in the description in the beginning of the video, still have somebody comment, man, do you have like a camera from like the 80s? You know, but no, it is just fun. You know, it's just been a very fun ride, and you don't want to do something to where it's a chore. You know, even as fun as YouTube may seem, people can get burnt out on it. You know,
especially if you're not making the money to live off it.
Yeah.
Then really, like,
yeah, if you're really grinding and trying to make that living off of YouTube, it's really not saying that you're going to set up for failure, but you're setting up for the wrong reasons. You still want to do it at the end of the day because you enjoy it, it's your hobby, and you just want to find that nice balance of living a normal life and producing content that, hey, you know what, if you only have 15 subscribers, but they enjoy what you do, that's awesome. It goes into, you know, collecting in general. Hey, if all you have is a couple Playmates figures and like 2 of the movies, that's fine. That's your collection, and that's awesome for you. You don't have to have the biggest, baddest stuff out there to be awesome or to be a collector. You know, it's just a fun ride, and just finding that balance when you do, it's a good feeling. That's all I can say. So I'm going to pass it on to Nick.
And one of the things that, you know, when you start growing in content creation and all that, and as, you know, I started when I already had a couple of kids, actually. Now I have 5, actually, so we're at the point where you got to balance life with how much time I spend shooting, editing, planning, scripting, all those great things, designing the darn thumbnails. I mean, it's just like, some of these things, sometimes it's like I'm just glad to be done with the video. Oh, I still got to do one more thing. Oh, I got to do one more thing. I got to add some keywords. Oh, I got to do one more thing. I've got to make sure that it's got the mid-roll ads the correct way, and it's just like, oh my goodness. Isn't it enough to just finish the video and just hit publish, and magic happens, and it just takes off. YouTube carries it across the finish line. No, it does not. And so that's why I'm excited to help you guys, talk to you about some of the tips, tricks, and, you know, obviously the life lessons that comes with content creation, whether it's YouTube or other things. But since the big thing for us is YouTube, and let's use the other platform. I mean, we have Rumble out there. It's an alternative, but there used to be a lot of other content, you know, platforms, especially video platforms. They've all been gobbled up by the big bad Google, which is YouTube, and now we're down to kind of this one that we have that's really paying dividends and, you know, getting the message out there as an easy platform that everyone universally knows. Even my 3-year-old knows how to get Daniel Tiger or cake videos. That's just like her thing. She loves watching cake creation videos, and it's just like so therapeutic for her. So it's either that or Daniel Tiger, and she knows how to navigate YouTube because it's that easy. So of course it's the platform of choice for content creation like this. So, but yeah, there's a lot of things you got to balance out, and a lot of tips and tricks you got to kind of learn, and you got to learn to fail. You also got to learn. This is one of the things that Matt Burkett, Monstrosities, told me. You got to like the stuff you make. You got to watch it yourself, and And if you don't enjoy it, well, why do you think they'll enjoy it? So it's like, you know, every once in a while I'm watching my own stuff, and it's like, okay, yeah, I think this did well, and I can do that a little bit better. I can do that a little bit better. Boy, that didn't work. You know, I mean, next time I'm going to fix that. So you just every time get a little bit better, take some notes, figure out what worked, what didn't work, why it didn't take off, and also you gotta have some thick skin. The comment section, oh my goodness. It is. It's just like Wreck-It Ralph. Don't look at the comment section. But yeah, here to answer some questions and hope you guys have them. And no question is dumb, really. I mean, tell us what's on your mind and tell us what is like the mysteries out there. Don't say, I'm not going to say we can solve them, but what have we discovered along the way?
It does. It really does.
Any questions?
Perfect.
Was there any backbone inspiration for like Godzilla?
Any what?
Backbone inspirations for like Godzilla and how it was made.
Any inspirations for how Godzilla was
made? Like the actual Godzilla, Toho Godzilla. Yeah, why why we have Godzilla. Yeah, why did Toho make it, basically?
Nuclear bombs.
That was the bottom line. Yeah.
That's pretty much the cut and dry. You know, Godzilla, the original Godzilla was created as a metaphor for nuclear bombs and nuclear war and atomic weapons. That was the whole. The original Gojira movie has a lot deeper meaning than just a monster movie. And when you come to that realization and then you go back and you rewatch it, you're like, I see it, I understand. So that is why, you know, Ishiro Honda went through and he wanted to create that because Japan was so affected by, you know, atomic bombs and everything back in the day. So that, go ahead.
You're good. Wanted to make sure before we get to the next question, because I do have a funny story for you. Tomoyuki Tanaka, the producer of Godzilla, you know, the guy who actually is paying the bills to bring all the creators in to make the first original Gojira in 1954, on his way back before producing a production in Indonesia, which failed. His meeting didn't go anywhere. They didn't make that movie. They weren't going to go with his ideas. So he's on a plane ride back to Japan, and he's got nothing. He doesn't have a project coming up. And he's just looking out the window, you know, when you're over the ocean and you're just, you know, the mind wanders and he thinks, what would it be like if there was this sea monster out there? And he starts putting this idea together of Gojira, the giant squid. Not kidding. That is the original idea, Godzilla the squid or octopus. That's where it started, as a giant sea monster idea. Later it came that they were looking at things and it's like, yeah, but how are we going to make that? Okay, well, maybe we could actually use something that's dinosaur related and also has something to do with fallout of nuclear weapons. Look up the Lucky Dragon #5 incident, which is the boat that actually did accidentally get bombarded with nuclear material, pulverized coral, when at the Bikini Atoll, the United States detonated a nuclear weapon, rained down onto the boat, and was actually, a lot of them received lethal doses of radiation, and the first victim of that was the radio operator. 6 months later, the movie Gojira comes out, where the opening scene is a fishing boat where a light explodes and the first victim is the radio operator. It's like 6 months after 9/11. We have a movie about 9/11, or we have a movie that's got that similar story. The wound is still a little bit sore and open at that point. So think about, you know, the guts that these guys had to put together a film like this with that wound still open. They're still getting over World War II and what happened at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and, you know, trying to rebuild their economy and all. And here's a metaphor for the nuclear weapon in the form of Gojira. So yeah, there's so much backstory to it. It's so unique and so interesting to look into it, and that's why it's lasted here 69 years later, right?
We did have a question.
Yeah, I'm coming off of this young man. Very good question, by the way, because I'm not sure I would have a question. Are we talking 41? 1941 in your response?
Like for
The start of
Godzilla?
Yeah.
Godzilla was 54. Godzilla came out in 54, yeah.
-1, however.
Yeah, the -1 one. But to also add a little flavor to your question too, everybody knows what today is though, right? It is Godzilla Day. Godzilla was released in 1954, 69 years ago today. That is why we were doing the festival. It's Godzilla's birthday. We're all basically in celebration of it. So.
Any other questions? Yeah.
I think, because I'm subscribed to all of you guys.
You should be.
You
definitely should be.
Like you guys mentioned, you guys have like your own like content. So how do you guys deal with the whole thing about for me personally, like getting into the mindset of like creating content, a lot of it, especially how do you guys deal with that kind of
I would say ignore the rat race. Don't chase it. Don't chase the YouTube game. Don't try it, because yes, it works for some people, but you don't know their personal lives. You don't know maybe that they might be miserable inside because that's all they have, you know. I used to follow it. I used to try to chase it and all that, and it brought nothing but pain. I mean, it really did. It just wasn't in the cards for me. But I really feel even if it worked out, again, more things in my personal life would have fallen behind and I wouldn't be happy anyways, you know? Yeah, don't follow it. It's not healthy. It's not a good way to go about it, because you're going to end up even ruining your own content, because you're going to change it, you're going to cheapen it, and it's not going to be what you originally intended it to be, because you're going to start to follow what everyone else is doing. You're not going to be unique anymore, because you're going to be trying to follow whatever this guy's doing, whatever that guy's doing. You're not going to have your own voice anymore if you try to do that. It is the biggest lie of trying to be on top of everything. And right now, as Godzilla YouTubers, it's very hard, because so much is happening right now. And I mean, it's almost impossible, you know, to keep up with everything. So, I mean, even right now, you know, Godzilla -1 is out, but we can't see it because we have to wait. But if we were if we had that pressure, we would, like, I don't know, have to get a ticket to go to Japan and watch it and then do a review. It's crazy.
Sorry, I didn't mean to pull that way. We'd all be like Matt Burkett right now.
Love you, Matt.
Yeah, love you, Matt. No, he's there for fun. He's doing his own thing. But I mean, I could probably say for all of us here on the table, don't chase the trends. Don't try to do that, because you're just gonna lose yourself in who you are, what you want to do. Keep your uniqueness, you know.
You'll get burnt out that way.
And you'll get burnt out very fast. You'll get burnt out very fast.
Danny and Amy and Ellie, we are going to your deals at the trade counter.
You'll get burnt out very fast, and you want to have fun with it. Yeah, I mean that's really it. Is there anything else you guys want to add to that point?
Great question.
Yeah, that was an amazing question. Yes, that was perfect. Yeah. Anybody else? Nothing else?
Pick our brain.
Any other topics on the match?
You guys are curious about, feel free to ask.
I will say,
Monetizing.
Okay.
What do you got to get to?
Getting into monetizing. Okay, so to get monetized, again, not a problem. Strive for it. It's perfectly fine. Especially nowadays. All of us could use a bit more chunk change, you know? So the requirements right now that YouTube are subject to change, because they always change the rules without telling anybody, so it's very annoying. Right now, from what I know, and this is not counting the YouTube Shorts thing, because the YouTube Shorts is a whole other beast now that's becoming a thing, and I don't know about you guys, but I am ignoring it. I tried to get it to work, and it brought me to that point where I was frustrated and just not liking it, so I quit it. I was like, I'm not doing this. Right now you need over 1,000 subscribers with 40,000 watch hours. So it's, starting out, that seems very rough. It's like, oh my gosh, like how do I get to that much in 40,000 watch hours? That's insane. That's part of the grind, but I feel, again, if you follow what we're trying to say, that grind getting to that partnership is going to be fun, because in the back of your mind, if it's something where I need to be partnered in a month or 2 or 3 months by the time I start my channel, you're going to drive yourself nuts, There's countless videos that they have this, they just have these generic thumbnails of, make partnered in 3 weeks by doing these tricks. The ironic thing is that these videos that are being made are made from people who have already made it, and they're not even really, I want to call them bots, because they just don't seem real. They just seem like they're making these outrageous thumbnails to get clickbait and all that, and when you try to follow what they're trying to do, well, the thing is they've already done that, which means so many other people have done that. Now all of a sudden you're competing with all of YouTube, so you really got to find your own way to do it. That's at least my thing with that.
So one thing when I decided I was going to start making videos was, and this is the beauty of YouTube itself, is you can find like how-to stuff on just about anything that you can think of. And I watched a lot of how-to videos on some tips and tricks about how to get started on there, and a lot of useful information exists within those videos, and things I wouldn't have even really thought about had I not looked that stuff up. And part of that too is you just got to kind of, like I mentioned before, you got to kind of find what works for you, what you feel comfortable with doing. Like with my videos, and one thing that was always suggested was to create intros and maybe outros, but it depends how you want to end your video, because a lot of people will have just a link for another video to watch on their channel. Yeah. But like what I did was, because nowadays I mainly film the videos with my phone, kind of like Everett. But then I use my desktop. I'll upload the video onto the desktop, and I have, you can find free editing software, so I use Shotcut. It's a really good editing software, and I created an intro and an outro for my channel, and I even have different ones that I use for certain themes, like my Halloween theme and whatnot. But I use, obviously it depends if you guys have computers or not. I use PowerPoint. And you can actually set up video files with PowerPoint. I use like the, YouTube has an audio library with free to use music on there. So I'm not crazy about using generic music, but at least you're not going to get in trouble with it. So I set up the video, try to make it as good as I could, and you want to try to keep it within certain time constraints. You don't want to have like a 40-second intro or outro, because then you're going to start losing people's attention. Yeah, exactly. But then I have that all set up, ready to go, and I use Shotcut. You set up the file, you set up like 3, like I'll do the intro, the main video itself, and the outro. You set it up, you put it on the timeline. Shotcut's beautiful because it has a way to do transitions on there, so you can do like a fade into your video and then into the outro. And so you just get the file set up, and then you log into YouTube, and bam, you pop it in on there. So, obviously it's going to work differently for everybody else, how you feel comfortable doing it. It's just a suggestion. Like I said, though, you guys got to kind of feel, got to put feelers out there, and you got to see what works best for you. But I definitely recommend looking up how-tos and looking up just different ways to do things, because you got to find, like I said, you got to find what you like to do the best and what works the best for you. So, all right, Chris.
Just to quickly piggyback.
You kind of answered already about the intro.
Oh, nice, yeah.
I was just wondering, because I was going to do like a 30-second, but he said 45 is a little too much. Yeah.
I would keep it like.
Yeah.
Sorry, I would keep like your intro and your outro, I would keep it like 20-ish seconds or less.
Okay. Yeah, I found that if your intro is more than 20 seconds, that people tend to dip, because like, let's say if you're watching a marathon, if they're on like a playlist, and they want to just marathon your videos. Well, if they're constantly running into that intro, they're gonna like, okay, all right, get it. So I think what I've seen is like 10 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds is a really good like sweet spot for an intro. An outro, I would say 10 seconds as well, because also I don't want the end video to be like 30 seconds as well. But the great thing about the end part of a video is the YouTube's feature where they have this end card annotation thing. And it's awesome. So instead of cutting off your video in the I think it's like you can choose the last 30 seconds or 20 seconds. You can cut it down to 5 seconds or whatever. But what I found is having an ending jingle or something, like it just be like, I mean, for me, what I do is I just have a background of Godzilla with my slogan and then just some music in the background for like 10 seconds. While that plays out, it actually shows, it like recommends other videos, like subscribe here and then like a playlist tab and then most recent video. So if I'm doing like a let's play and I have different parts, I'll just post in that last little block there the last episode, so that if people want to see the whole series, they can click it right there. And then that way, that part that's on YouTube that's showing up, it doesn't show up while I'm still talking when the camera ends, because like if I'm saying, hey guys, all right, that's it for this video, thank you so much for watching, while I'm doing that, all of a sudden those annotations are going to pop up over my face. I don't, you don't want that. You want people to see the full video end, then do the end card. That's where all the linking and credit stuff, should be put in. So yeah, I'd say the intro stuff, it's good because it gives you that personality on that channel. It gives you like that whatever kind of music you use, even if it is YouTube library. I think the YouTube library is great. I mean, it's yeah, a lot of people do use it, but I mean, again, you're not going to get in trouble. One thing I have found out, especially for Godzilla YouTubers, use Godzilla video game music. It never gets copyrighted. Any Godzilla, I use it all the time now. I use Battle Line, Destroy All Monsters Made to Save the Earth. All those games, no, it'll never get you copyrighted. I don't know why, but it's safe, So if you're doing that kind of stuff, I think other video game music is okay, but stay away from like the super popular ones, like Halo music. You might not want to use that. Yeah, so that's kind of gives you that identity on the channel too.
One of the things that you do find yourself in the traps of are like those things that they talked about, like long intros, trying to keep the attention span of your audience, and thinking about, at a certain point, if there's too much of a gap, and that's why sometimes I have trouble leaving gaps in my sentences, because you've already tuned out. Even just a couple of seconds of silence there, they're ready to click away. And so the audience is doing that. It's not that they're intentionally always doing that, but they do get to that point where it's like, I need something. You need to get me to the next step in this. And if it keeps them moving, if it keeps them engaged, then they'll watch your video longer. And that's what YouTube's really wanting to. They want to promote the fact that they didn't dip off after the first 10 seconds or 5 seconds. And I'm like, who watches a video for 5 seconds? Well, I'm like, there's a lot of kids out there too. And so if they didn't get their attention hooked in that first couple of seconds, then they're already dipping off. And there are times that you realize that maybe in this video I can trim out this section, bring the sections together, and now it moves a little bit faster, it moves a little bit smoother, but it's not maybe necessarily the right editing technique, especially if I were to make something for broadcast television. Those rules don't really apply to my YouTube audience. So I always got to think about those kinds of things. And some of the traps you can get into, we talked about copyright just a second ago. Even if you used a little snippet of a copywritten song, that copyright holder either can strike your channel, 3 strikes and you're out, or they will monetize your video for themselves. Well, I only use like 5 seconds of a copywritten song, which sometimes I didn't know it was copywritten, but then it's like, because it was in my intro, they get all the revenue I would have gotten from that video, even though it's only 5 seconds of my video. I did the rest of it. And so I may have to trim out that segment, I may have to mute that segment, because I want it to be monetized to my own usage. So those are the kinds of traps that you can end up in. And sometimes when you have done something and it's like you got a copyright claim. That's a little different than a strike. Claims, okay, you get to keep your video up. You get to keep your channel. It's not a strike against your channel. But that claim is going to the copyright holder. So I do trailers. I do trailer remakes. And I already know that that is copywritten material. I'm not reviewing it in those, but I am doing something transformative. But the line that I want to cross, I have to be careful with. And if it does get claimed by Toho, Universal, whoever, sometimes I've got to let that claim set because the video is going to do well, it's going to bring people to my channel, and they're going to watch the other stuff that is not claimed. It is actually driving revenue to my channel. So that's where I have to pick my battles. I did a Jaws trailer remake, and I thought it was pretty good. We actually got some good traction. Well, Universal's looking out for that. It is their property. It is rightfully theirs, and my transformative work was not to that threshold of, it's not a review, so it's not educational purposes, and never get into that, well, it's because I'm not making money from it, it's right for me to use that. That is not actually a valid argument. They won't see it that way because you're using their copywritten work. But if you do use their work and transform it in some way, Everett runs into it even when he wants to just, like, he passes by the TV and it happens to be playing something, he gets a strike. He doesn't get a strike, but he gets it claimed, or he gets it. Or he gets it. What is it? Does it kill your stream, or does it?
Oh yeah, they've totally taken it down.
Yeah,
like just nothing. And
he
it's
just
like,
passed by the screen. Yeah, it was there, and so he's got the dreaded footage.
Oh, that footage! And Chris, I'll let you close it out. Oh, we have one question. Go ahead.
You guys mentioned earlier, like the nega game video example. For you guys, what is like that one video that you see
You've done. Obviously, I like my Godzilla alerts. I didn't put as much work into that, and I've done better work since. It's 2014, so that was a while ago. But since it's my viral video, I obviously like that. But I really like the trailers I do, because I do like to transform the trailers. Sometimes I'm changing up the music with copywritten music, non-copywritten music, to get away from the royalties. Because I do want them to experience something different with that. So I may transform the classic Godzilla film with something that sounds like Hans Zimmer kind of music that's more of a modern setting. So I like transforming that. I've done a lot of the trailers. Some of the trailers I'm real proud of. Some of them take off, some of them don't. I'm really a big fan of the trailer I did for a Korean film, The Host, which is a Korean Kaiju film, actually. A lot of people don't know about it. It's kind of an underground movie, but it's a really great one. So that's one that I felt like I really did a good job on it. I appreciate it a lot, and I love rewatching it. But Pacific Rim is another good one too. If you get the chance to check out Pacific Rim, my trailer of that, it did get claimed, and I don't care. It's fine. But I'm still proud of it. I love it, and I love to rewatch it because it was a very different take on that film that was a lot of fun. But I wanted to kind of transform it to do something different with it. So yeah, I'd encourage you to check it out.
As far as some of my favorite stuff, I don't know if I can narrow it down.
Attention, new customers, Matt H. Matt, we're all done on the electronics trade counter with your deal.
So, as far as a favorite video of mine, it's hard to narrow down because sometimes I like to have, certain fun in some videos. I want to say my collection videos, I have a lot of fun doing those, even though those get claimed because I use the music or whatever. And it's like, it doesn't bother me, but at the same time, it's like, because I'm just doing it for fun, and a lot of people like collection videos, they're fun to do. And so I like my collection videos. I like figure reviews where I put like twists on things. One of my other popular videos that Jim Jenkins actually really likes too is on my 30 centimeter X Plus Kumunga video review. That one's really popular because it's a giant spider. And so I channeled my inner Steve Irwin, and getting into the review, I opened up the box and I'm like, today we're looking at Kumunga, and it's not there. And I'm like, uh-oh.
where's it at? And then I had my dad off in the side, and then he kind of just tosses me the figure.
Attention, bookman customers. Jen, your deal is done on the electronics trade counter. Jen and Matt, all done at the electronics counter.
So, and so then he tossed me the figure out of the frame, and then that's when I go, oh crikey, look at what we got here. We got the dirty son of Mira Kumonga, very dangerous. So, but you all right, girl? You all right? You all right? You know, I do something fun like that, or if I want to put a twist on and do, you know, you got to do the monster report, you know, and you got the Goji Fan 93 and the Titanic creations over here, you know, the really good people, you know, so support them, you know, Lawrence and Vinny and Paul, thank you all for being here. Joe, thank you, you know, it's just a lot of fun to, you know, put a fun twist on it, you know, if you can do a voice and all that stuff, it just makes it all the more fun. So it's hard for me to narrow down that because certain videos I put an extra twist maybe here and there, and I just like to have fun. So those are some of my favorite videos.
I think for me, one that always sticks out to me was when I did the Gabber of Bad Day videos. I don't know, I swear I wasn't on drugs, but I don't know why I thought, hey, let me just have my Gabra figure and I'll just do some funny skit with him, and it's just like this whole thing, and I'm thinking of bringing it back. I'm thinking of doing a 7th day. So, but that's one that I can think of. Recently, I like when I can come up with an idea of like a skit at the beginning of a video. So one of them was where I was unboxing the Mondo 84 figure, and I do this thing where box day is like this meme, you know, if you do an unboxing video, it's box day. And so I do this thing where like I have the camera looking at me and I'm just playing a video game, and then behind me you hear this voice going, box day, box day, box day. It's getting louder and louder and louder, and I go, you know, I'm like, heck, and then I turn around, I walk into my bedroom, and all of a sudden I have this puppet Godzilla mask thing that not a mask, but just a puppet. And you just see me at the door going like, what the? And then it's just the box day, box day, box day. And then I go, okay, what's going on? And I open the door and I put the box on top of the door and it just slams onto my head. And it's just one of those things that when we were talking about like rewatching your videos and just getting enjoyment out of it, I can rewatch that again and again. I love it. You know, it's just so funny. So anytime I can come up with a skit that I find really funny.
Hello, Brooklyn shoppers. Amy, we are done with your deal at the trade counter. Amy.
Also, when something really funny, unexpected happens, I did this thing where I reviewed every Godzilla film in 66 seconds, and the bloopers for that video were hilarious, because it took me several tries to get it in one take. I did it in one take eventually, but it took me forever. But at the end of the bloopers, you know, I did this, I was like, and that's how you review it in 66 seconds, and then I just like pretend to faint. When I landed on my desk, my camcorder that was sitting there just like fell over, you know, so it was just, it added to the comedy. But then you can, if you're wearing like headphones, you can hear me go, oh crap. So it's just little funny mistakes that happen. Capture those and turn them into bloopers. Don't let that footage go to waste, you know. We had a skit that we did where you
gotta look up the video.
You gotta look at the video. It's on his channel, where I sold him a bunch of my X Plus figures back in the day. And we just did this thing where I come down into the basement and, you know, I'm like, oh, let's check out my X Plus figures, and I look and I see Everett there, and then the camera just, you know, cuts to him, and he's like, you know, looking at, like, because he's like looking at my X Plus stuff, and then he's like, oh crap. And then the bloopers, I could not keep a straight face, because every time you would do this thing like this, it would just crack me up so much. And then the best part was at the end of the skit, where I was, where you're like, hey, well, maybe we could just review all these figures, and I'm like, I was just joking, but okay. And I walk away, and then he does this ad-lib line, because we didn't put it in the script, and he's just, he's like, we don't joke around here, man. And you can hear me off camera just going, like, it just caught me off guard. It was so funny. So
the video itself, the video itself is like so long, and then
it's like a quarter of the video.
Yeah, and then the bloopers is like the rest of the video, and it's just fantastic.
Yeah, we have to show Nick. He hasn't seen it.
We'll have to watch it tomorrow.
All right. But yeah, that's my stuff. Capture those mistakes.
How do I follow that up? That was a great story, Goji 93.
For me, one that I was always proud of, and it's certainly far from my best video, but it was actually my very first video, which I ranked all the Godzilla films at the time. This was 2018, so it was before King of the Monsters and all that came out. I ranked all the live-action Godzilla films, and the way I put it, most other rankings say worst to best. Well, that's subjective. So I specifically said least favorite to favorite, because I hadn't really seen that on YouTube. And plus, you know, it being my first video, again, very rough around the edges, and I don't script any of my videos. I'm like Everett, I'm talking off the cuff, you know, maybe not getting all my thoughts 100%, but you know, I'm still rolling with the punches and going through, and it was a long video, it was about an hour and a half, but I was kind of giving some tidbits of information about each film as I was ranking them, you know. And my, you know, because my personal tastes, ones that I really like are maybe higher on my list as opposed to other people, and then vice versa for ones that I'm not crazy about. But you know, I don't really dislike any Godzilla film minus maybe that anime trilogy that came out. But so just the fact that it was like you know, a big, you know, because for your first YouTube video, and this might pertain to some of you guys who are thinking about it, you can have like the jitters and be nervous about it, but you just got to think, you know, I'm not really in front of anybody live or whatever. I'm just doing this. I'm just trying to have fun with it. And once I got that first video out there, it just felt great. So that was something I was very proud of. And then I guess something a little bit more recent, because you know, I've obviously honed my skills a bit more as I've gone. I've, you know, again started doing like intros and outros and started, you know, crisping that up a little bit more as I went along. So one that I really liked was my review of my YMSF 1968 Manda figure. I had seen a few other reviews, but they had the other version of it, which had more of a curved, pose that he was in. This one is more of like straight, and then the tail at the end kind of curved off. And I hadn't seen anybody doing a review of that particular figure. And I felt like, I mean, maybe it's just me toot my own horn, but I felt like I pretty much knocked that one out of the park. And all of that just kind of comes with experience, comes with time. You just learn as you go, and you just get better at it and get more comfortable with it.
And we are kind of running a little crunch on time. I'm going to be doing the raffles here in about, it's already 7:08, so I do that at 7:15. So we're going to close this out, Chris, if you have anything. And then I actually want Zillafan85 to have that last word of his tagline, because I absolutely love his outro tagline. It's just so respectful, it's so nice. And I think that'd be the perfect way to close out this panel. Yeah, I'll do our things down the line.
But yeah, so that does it for the panel of balancing life responsibilities, being a YouTube creator. I hope that this gave you guys some good advice and tips on going into it. If you guys still have any more questions, you know where to hit us up at. You know, we have our YouTube page, you can message us, all that good stuff. And that's pretty much it. So thank you guys so much. And also, without your guys' support, we wouldn't be doing this kind of stuff. So we always want to make sure that we thank you for every watch, every like, all that good stuff. So yeah, I think we'll say our end taglines.
Let's start with Nick.
Start with Nick. I want him to close.
Okay. I actually don't have a signature tagline, but I will say that when I do certain reviews, I will try and use something from the IP. So like if I actually do, I'm just going to use this one as my outro, because Masters of the Universe, Eli knows this, when we do anything Motu, Masters of the Universe, He-Man, Skeletor, any kind of reviews like that, because that's the other IP that I'm a big fan of, Everett is too. In the 2000X series, they always had that ending where they teach you a life lessons. Remember, kids, crossing the street, you need to look both ways. And it's like, okay, you know, remember, kids, be friendly to each other. Be nice to each other. Don't hit each other. You know, and then they always end it with, until next time. And that's it. Yeah, it's like the G.I. Joe, you know, it's like knowing's half the battle. G.I. Joe! I just figured I'd take the until next time. And anytime we do Transformers, what did we say? Until all are one. Yeah, so anyways, there's my kind of tagline. But I always have the open line, the Monster Report's a show highlighting those entertaining creatures of film history.
And And then mine, of course, we are Godzilla Fan Freaks. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Don't forget to like and follow Godzilla Fan Freaks on Facebook and Instagram. So thank you all very much. Chris?
Well, thank you guys for watching, and as always, stay Big G fans.
Well, folks, I think this brings us to the end of the video. I would like to thank you guys all so much for watching. If you would like to subscribe, please feel free to do so. If you would like to like and or comment on any of our videos, please feel free to do so as well. And just remember, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, you be good to yourselves, and sayonara.
Sake, if you want a memory, and thank you. Yes, right here. We have some right up here. And I just want to give also a thank you to Yosh from Leaf Claw Studios for doing the artwork for the poster and everything like that. Thank you very much. Thank you to my father who created me and made me go down this whole rabbit hole of kaiju goodness. Otherwise, I probably would not be doing this and probably something else. So just thank you all. Thank you all for my friends who came from out of town. Michael, Zillafan85, Titanic Creations coming from Colorado. Chris, GojiFan93 and his folks coming from Colorado. And then we also have Nick Adams from the Monster Report. He came all the way from Indianapolis. Michael, I forgot to say, he came from Florida. So we got some people that came very far for this, and that means a lot to me. And just everybody showing up today, support throughout the day. You guys are just fantastic. Thank you all so much. I hope that I can continue to do this next year. So thank you all. James, thank you.
Let's hear it for Godzilla Fan Freaks.
Yes. Let's make sure they hear us in Japan. Let's go. Tucson Kaiju Festival. That's a wrap. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
All right, the Tucson Kaiju Festival 2023 is officially over. What do you have to say, Everett?
All I can say is, wow. I think we had a really good turnout in general. I don't know necessarily how many people, but I think we had a great turnout. People sold stuff, everybody's happy, people won stuff. And that's all that I want to bring to this community, is just for everybody to embrace all the good kaiju goodness, and just thank you all for supporting this, and I really hope to bring it back next year. I'm gonna do my best. It's kind of rough being independent in doing this, but I got it.
There will be next year.
Yeah,
Make it
okay.
happen. Make it happen. There will be next year.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, cool. That's a wrap.